February, there will be some form of college, high school, NFL football on your television each and every week. And it'll start with preseason, true preseason football on Thursday night. But that was it. You now have weekends upon weekends upon weekends, Preston Thorne, of college football that'll be in your lap starting Thursday night with preseason, two weekends away, basically. 3 weekends away, I guess. No, 2 weekends. It'll be 2 more weekends until the start of college football on the 24th with Florida State and Georgia Tech. 3 weekends away from the start of South Carolina and Clemson season. It's here. That was it.
You keep saying weekends, but we have Monday Night Football.
Well, that's
Tuesday football, Maction, Thursday, Friday nights. Every day. We get it.
That was it. I hope you got everything you needed done. I hope you got everything you needed done. If it was a vacation, if it was cutting the grass, if it was painting the house, whatever.
Feeding your kids.
Feeding the kids.
Any basics.
They're on their own now. They're just out there.
You only cut the grass once?
Huh?
You only cut the grass once?
I actually have not cut the grass in
permacut.
8 years.
I'll have you come over to mine because I was out there Saturday, which I probably shouldn't have been. But yes, Saturday I was out mowing the grass.
Yes. We'll get into Saturday. No, remember the last time I was, of course, the reason I don't cut the grass now is because where I live, I don't have to cut the grass. It's different. But the last time I was cutting grass, it wasn't a very big yard, but I would still use the riding lawnmower. You have it?
Yeah, it takes me about, depends on how quick I'm moving, but probably about 38 minutes to push the front yard.
Okay.
38? That's pretty precise.
I like how there is no doubt that she has timed herself. She's timed herself with both hands on it, with one hand holding a beer, with left hand holding a beer.
Very precise.
I have an uncle that not with us anymore, but he and his neighbor, they would be on their riding mowers, and it was like 5 o'clock on such and such a day. We're out mowing, and they had their martinis with them. I mean, it was just a fabulous thing. Nothing pushed, nothing horrible.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the way to do it.
There you go. Well, hopefully you got it all done this weekend, and if you didn't get it all done this weekend, that's okay. You got a few more days, but it looks like we're going to deal with a lot of rain, maybe a bit of a hurricane. We'll kind of keep track of that this morning. We'll get the news on. We've got the Olympics on, where it was a really fun weekend. We'll get into that a little bit, but we'll also talk a little bit about what transpired Saturday night over at Williams-Brice Stadium. Really, really cool. Kudos to the administration. Kudos to Chance Miller, who is now down at Coastal Carolina. Tony Annan will join us in studio this morning starting at 7:30. Jamie Bradford will be on from 7 to 8. Tony Annan will be in studio with us. What made it really cool, and what I'll talk a lot about this morning, was people that came. I was not sitting where I normally sit for football games, which is in the zone. I was sitting kind of where the band sits, row 20 there in section 24. I had people from Chicago behind me. I had people from Atlanta in front of me. We had people from Philadelphia to our right. There were people from Alabama to our left. In our parking lot that we had people that drove from Colombia.
Sir?
And Ecuador.
Sir?
Drove. Did not fly.
I hear you.
Drove.
I hear you.
It was, yeah.
I-77 to I-95.
Yeah, that's right. Do the math. I don't know. It was, from that standpoint, I was not downtown on Friday night, but I spoke with people who had hotel rooms down in the Vista and around Columbia, and it was just a huge party. Absolutely phenomenal event. Liverpool wins, for those that have no clue or wonder. Liverpool won 3-0.
Yeah, if it wasn't confusing to start with, I mean, everybody wearing red. It's like, oh, yeah. What are we doing here? Yeah, but to your point, like I said, my cousins came down from Durham, so that was cool. We got a chance to hang out on Friday night, and the whole family was there. So it was my 2 cousins, my aunt. They all went. All 6 of them went to the game. So a lot of folks were out there for sure. It
was really cool. And again, we'll catch up with Tony Annan coming up about 7:30. Jamie Bradford as well, and we'll go back and forth about that. Next week we'll really get full-fledged into football with where we're going. There was preseason camp that started over the weekend,
but nothing happened.
As far as we know.
It's fine.
Look, I've looked around. There was some injuries around the country, and you're exactly right. as far as we know, nothing transpired, and that is a good thing. Mm-hmm. That is a very good thing for South Carolina. We will talk about that a little bit, but we'll get into that soccer a little bit as well. Really just neat to see Williams-Brice Stadium and that environment. Stadium was packed out. Really cool area. What was really fun, this is another thing, Preston and Jen, what was really fun is at halftime, they played Sandstorm, and it let me know what impact Sandstorm and the environment of Williams-Brice Stadium has had around the country. The two guys behind me who were from Chicago, they had been to a Notre Dame game, but they were familiar as a guy, kind of I'd say a son, probably in his late 20s, and a father. And they would ask me, they'd be like, so is this what it's like? Like, we've seen this on television, and this is crazy. I was like, this is about 50%.
It was about, yeah, so that's the same. So they experienced it, but they got about like a warm-up rep.
Yeah, I was like, you're getting the preseason edition. There's no white towels. There's no chanting of USC. I was like, this is good, because they were like, wow, this is, like, matter of fact, I think what blew them away, I don't know. I mean, that was my first professional soccer match I've ever been to. But when the first goal was scored and the fireworks went off, and everyone was like, whoa.
Like, I could see that.
I was like, well, no, that's normal. Mm-hmm. When we score, we shoot fireworks. A couple years ago, we scored one game so many, we ran out of fireworks. Mm-hmm. They weren't prepared. But that was the really cool thing, was kind of being able to showcase what Williams-Brice Stadium looks like on a Saturday night in the fall, but on a little bit less of a scale, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah. And shout out to everybody who grinded it out to make it, because it was looking hairy for a long time.
It was, yep. And I don't know if we were dumb. I don't know if I was. I shouldn't say. Austin doesn't really. Austin and my nephew Cameron were with us, and I don't know if I was dumb or brave or risky. No ponchos. We went no poncho.
All of the above. Yes. Can I get deep, please?
I sent Trent with some. The ones we had from Chicago. I said, these have some good luck to them, so take them.
So, but really, again, incredible environment there. And, again, we'll talk a lot about that this morning. If you went and you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can do that. Really interesting weekend at the Olympics, highlighted yesterday by probably one of the Preston, it's not that I go out of my way to watch a bunch of men's track and field events. I did get a little Saturday sidetracked on the shot put. I've never really watched the shot put. And then it was raining at the stadium there in Paris. And these big, husky men throwing the shot put are doing their spins on what became a kind of a wet, I guess I want to call it a platform, is the best way to describe it. Mm-hmm. That got a little entertaining. I kept thinking, these guys are going to, hurt themselves significantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're going in their spins and the throwing off the old one leg and trying to keep the leg inside of the bound, the little curvature there. Yeah, that is a thing. But I think I'm gonna have to recount my previous start bench cut. I think I'm gonna have to recount it. There's been a recall in configuration. Previously, I did say that my start bench cut was gonna be cutting track and field. And that I might have spoke too fast.
Okay.
I might have spoke too soon, because this weekend was electric on the track.
It was really, really fun. Highlighted again by Noah Lyles yesterday in what, again, not that I go out seeking 100-meter races to watch on a weekend by weekend basis. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And it brings me to a question I'm going to ask you in the next segment. We're going to tie it in with South Carolina football and tie it in, because I heard this mentioned over the weekend, really more as it pertains to Katie Ledecky and how she has performed after Noah Lyles and how he performed. I heard him. This was discussed a little bit. This was discussed a little bit as it pertains to some of the other teams. The clutch gene. Do you have, and you're a former athlete, so you've been on the field. You've seen guys in your time that you knew about coming into a game that were considered clutch. You've played with guys that were considered clutch. Is that such a thing? And I'll tie it back to Lenora Sellers. We've seen really good players come through the University of South Carolina that just, and there's one in particular that stands out, A.J. Lawson. A.J. Lawson might be one of the best basketball players to come through the University of South Carolina, but he doesn't have a moment. He doesn't have a clutch moment that stands out. Devin Downey, on the other hand, Devin Downey's still probably one of the best that's ever done it. Not quite the NBA career that A.J. Lawson's had, but Devin Downey had a clutch gene about him. And I'm going to ask you in the next segment, and then tie it back into football. do we have somebody on that football team that just has the clutch gene that can go out and just, you got to make a play, you got to win a sprint, you got to win a swimming event. You just get it done because that's who you are.
That's a fair question. That's a fair question, and not everybody has it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't obviously you have to be talented to get to that level, but there's an extra level that some athletes are able to access within themselves that other people are not.
Well, we'll get into that because Noah Lyles, and part of it was in watching yesterday, he built himself up for this moment. If he didn't win yesterday, everything that he's done, from late night televisions to walking the runways in Milan and Paris and having the Netflix documentary, like, he has sought out the spotlight and had to perform, and he did.
I'll just say this. Noah Lyles was 0.005 seconds away from being on Mama Thorne's list.
Okay.
He was making his way onto the list. She very much declared he's cocky.
Yeah.
And he was very close to getting on the list.
Because his first one, what is it? He knew he had the first heat in, so he just stared down. I believe it was the Jamaican runner.
Like I said, he was very close to making it on the list. He was close. He was going to be the first Olympic victim on Mama Thorne's list.
So we'll get into that as it pertains, because you got to tie that back in, I think, a little bit with South Carolina football. And has that been something that's been lacking? Just Spencer Rattler was really good. He was really, really good. But did he have the clutch gene when you needed it? We'll talk about that this morning. Also yesterday, I don't know if this has been shown. I think it was just shown yesterday. Did you two see the Snoop Dogg, Martha Stewart trip to the equestrian?
No, I need to Google that one.
Oh, dear. If you haven't seen it.
It lives up to it.
Yeah, Snoop's apparently terrified of horses and everything that came with that, and Snoop lived up. Yeah, everything that you would expect. And the prancing of the horses, too, which I've never seen equestrian. So watching, you saw what I'm talking about?
I did.
And the prancing of the horses and stuff, where Snoop's like, oh, they're performing a routine, too.
Yeah.
Martha's like, well, I think they're being told what to do.
Yeah, he's like, not quite. Not quite.
So, a lot to get to. We got a lot that we're going to get to this morning. Again, Jamie Bradford will join us from 7 to 8 o'clock. We'll do some football talk the first 30 minutes, and then Tony Annan will be in studio with us, and we'll review him. His team reports today. His team actually reports to campus. He gets going with the 2024 men's soccer season. Tony Annan will be in with us from 7:30 to 8:30. We got a lot we're going to get to. Again, if you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in this morning. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Sheehan Jensen. It's the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. We've now worked with them a few times. We had a cabinet that needed to be replaced in an upstairs bathroom. Also had the kitchen redo that we had to take care of due to that flood in our house about a year or so ago. And let me tell you, they were awesome in helping us figure out accessories, how to lay things out. Then we got that photorealistic rendering, made all the difference in the world. We could take that, look like our finished kitchen, and we could go purchase all the other things that we needed to finish out the kitchen. But also, they don't just do kitchens. You could do something in your kitchen, like just a pantry, and have that redone. Maybe you've got a closet that you just are really tired of how it is, those wire hanging racks. You want to adjust that? They can do that as well. Maybe even create a home workspace for you. What you need to do is visit chwcabinetry.com. Call them today at 803-520-6837. And, of course, be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. A little bit of patchy dense fog out there this morning. Also have a report, maybe an object on the roadway, Mineral Springs Road at Sunset Boulevard. So just a little extra caution in that area. And, of course, we were talking about potential rainfall coming from that Hurricane Debbie, especially with the, I guess, tropical storm now heading into the Charleston area eventually. But in our area, we're looking potentially 5 to 7 inches, and even towards Orangeburg, it could be 7 to 10 inches. So lots of rainfall on the forecast Tuesday through Thursday. But right now, again, just some patchy dense fog out there. And it is 74 on 107.5 The Game.
$6:20 as we get you up and get you going on a August the 5th here, Monday, as we are now fully immersed in the month of August. Preseason camps are fully underway. South Carolina will really pick up a little bit more, Preston, tomorrow when I believe they can go. I believe it's tomorrow, it might be Wednesday, when they can go full pads. I don't know what it's like for camp early on when you're excited, but you're just in the helmets the first 2 days, the acclimation period. Then you're just in the shells, I guess is what they call it, the shoulder pads, where you're excited, you're ready to hit somebody, but there's a limited hitting allowed at this point.
First day of pads is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, the air is a little bit different in the locker room because we know we're going to actually hit. We know that we're going to take the yellow jerseys off. Everybody's going to be able to tackle, maybe take to the ground. It's going to be a little bit more physically type of deal. So everybody's excited when camp starts, but then that gets boring pretty quickly because all you're kind of doing is just running around. You're not really hitting each other. You're just going through all the drills that you did in the spring. Then when you finally get to put the full pads on, that's another day of excitement.
Well, we'll continue talking about that. We'll get into this Clutch Gene thing, but let's get out to the phone lines here. Joe wants to weigh in on the soccer match and the traffic. Joe, how are you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm good, Preston and Bill, man. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Good. So listen, man, I left. I don't know what I was doing last week or what I was paying attention to as far as that soccer game Saturday, but I left my place about 6 o'clock, and I live off of Main Street. I did not get, and I was going to Greens. I didn't get the Greens until 6:59. When I got to the door, the people locked it. Oh. The traffic was ridiculous, man. When I got to the Wendy's right there on what is that, Assembly? Mm-hmm. I think it's Assembly. When I got to the Wendy's right there, the traffic came to a dead stop. Man, those folks were walking from the Vista all the way down to the stadium. I mean, those folks, whoever was playing, they truly loved those people, man. There were people walking past the Vista, man. I mean, it was crazy down there. I mean, it took me an hour to get to Greens, and then when I got there, I couldn't get in. I didn't know what was going on until I saw the red, and I'm like, and then you saw the different nationalities walking in. You came to realize, okay, there must be a soccer game going on. But I've never seen nothing like that, man. Going to a USC game, I've never seen nothing like that. It was bananas. Yeah. It was bananas. It was crazy.
Appreciate your call.
Yeah, one more other thing I wanted to comment on.
Go ahead.
The guy Quincy Hall that won what was that he ran yesterday in the Olympics?
I believe it was one of the hurdles. I forget which distance it was.
I want to say the 400, but whatever it was, man. Did you guys see how he ran past that guy and just looked at him like, yeah, all right, I'll see you at the finish line?
Yeah.
Things are happening.
Man. Cold-blooded. I've never seen nothing like that ever in my life, man. Go Gamecocks. You guys have a great day. Love the show, man.
Appreciate it, and condolences on not being able to make it to Greens. I know that was a very tough ending to that night. That's a tragic situation.
Yeah.
Things are happening on the track that I don't think used to happen. I mean, there's a lot of staring, almost equivalent to how baseball has changed. I feel like the same things are happening on the track. A lot of staring. I mean, like I said, Noah comes out of the tunnel. He's jumping, running. He runs 50 meters down the track just for the intro. I feel like things are happening in track that maybe we didn't see. Track has always been a little bit of a flamboyant thing.
Yeah,
There's always been.
Yeah, you got the shoes, you got the chains.
There's always been something.
Maybe the glasses.
And again, there's only one other title I would rather have than being the fastest man in the world, and that would be being the heavyweight champion. Those are the only two because you literally means when you're the fastest man in the world, fastest person in the world, like that is a wild title to be able to. Noah Lyles woke up this morning and be like, I am faster than literally everyone who's in the world. That is wild. But yeah, there are things happening on the track that maybe didn't used to happen before.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar, Quincy Halls attended the University of South Carolina and is an athlete from here, and has participated in the 400-meter hurdles and the 400 meters. So,
listen, man, South Carolina has and shout out to Coach Fry and the legendary track program, but we've had maybe a disproportionate amount of Olympians come from here, from Natasha Hastings, Tiffany Johnson. These are several, and it's almost weird because I know these people, and they get to go to the Olympics, earn their way to the Olympics, and win in a lot of occasions. So we've had a disproportionate amount of Olympians from the South Carolina track program, and Coach Fry and all those folks did a great job.
He won last night. He won his heat, and I was looking to see when they run. That's where it gets a little confusing this week, is trying to keep up with when the next set of races are, and I'll try and dig into that. But he transferred here out of California in the College of Sequoias, and has run here. 26 years old, Quincy Hall, who is very, very well known on the track scene, and certainly is another great representative of the University of South Carolina. But it brings me to my question to you: is the clutch gene? I mean, have you seen it? Do you see it? Can you look at somebody when you're on the field as a player playing against another guy and just be like, oh yeah, that person? Or just like when you see Katie Ledecky and she's next to you in the pool and you're like, oh, okay, we're playing for second here.
Yeah, that's a tough one when you know that the person is going to dominate this situation. But I think maybe even more so than the Katie Ledecky, because you can always look at somebody and be like, oh, you could size them up and be like, they're probably a little bit better than me. It's somebody that you just know is going to, when everybody else is getting very nervous and getting very tight, and the eyes are getting wide on the field, when you look over and the other person seems calm and they seem like they're not affected by the moment, that's probably one of the most nerve-wracking times as an athlete, because you know how nervous you are. You recognize how big the moment is, and either hopefully the person that's in your huddle is the one that's calm. That's what you would like to see. There's always that old story about Joe Montana in the Super Bowl, and he sees John Candy in the hey boys, there's John Candy. Everybody else is so nervous. And there are things like that happen in the game when you're like, oh, okay. Especially when it's your leader. Mm-hmm. Oh, my leader is good. I'm good. We're gonna go out there and win this game.
Who did you feel like y'all had somebody like that in 2001?
From a performance standpoint, I mean, you just always felt like Derek Watson was gonna make a play. If you could just get him the ball, he was gonna make a play. And Phil was probably very much like an anchor as far as not going up or going up too high or going up down too low. You just knew those guys were going to make the play that needed to be made, and you always felt like, oh man, I'm glad those guys are on our team as opposed to the other team.
And it kind of circles me back to some of the guys that we've seen. Jake Bentley, a lot of great things Jake Bentley did, but I don't know if he has that clutch.
Couldn't make the one.
Yeah, and look, South Carolina absolutely blew out Tennessee. I don't know if Spencer Rattler, if that counts. To me, the clutch gene is where you make the play. Connor Shaw to Bruce Ellington at Missouri, making the play. Even Dylan Thompson to, again, Bruce Ellington in the Outback Bowl against Michigan, making the throw, making the play. And the reason I thought about it, I really started thinking about this last night, is because of really Jake Bentley, but going back to that Missouri Monsoon game where it's Michael Scarnecchia throwing it down the middle of the field. I can't remember. I don't think it was Hayden Hurst, but I can't remember who he hit down the middle that set up the field goal that would eventually win the game.
Yeah, I mean, you always give me a chance to sneak in one of my favorite Gamecocks, which was Dylan Thompson. I mean, showing up in the Clemson game, coming off the bench, 3rd and 55 or whatever, whatever it was, and decided I'm going to make this run.
Oh, crazy legs Thompson.
Which was not in his bag at all, but he makes the play. Some guys just have a thing where they're going to show up in a moment that is what makes them a special athlete.
We'll continue down. It's just an interesting topic, especially as we watch these Olympics and someone like Noah Hall, who had to live up to the moment. Katie Ledecky, who's had to live up to the moment. Simone Biles having to live up to the moment. And you see these people making their mark. And if you want to throw him in there, the Turkish, what was it? He's not
sharpshooter.
Sharpshooter, who's just Nothing. Just hand in pocket. Only thing lacking was a cigarette hanging out of the mouth. Yeah, that was a wild situation, but it's been a lot of fun. Final week of the Olympics here. We'll all wrap that up on Friday. 803-404-6100. We'll get into a little more football discussion when we return. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Dr. Dan Balknight and the Men's Clinic, where they understand there is nothing generic about you. So why, men, are you settling for general medical care? At the Men's Clinic, they are the experts in men's health. And as we get older, some things start to change and transform, and we become a little tentative to talk about it. Maybe we just shove it away. Maybe it's just dealing with simple issues such as brain fog, not remembering some things like you used to. Maybe it's performance enhanced when you're at home and you want to be at play. These things aren't working the way that they normally do. Well, the Men's Clinic, they give you a safe, comfortable, individual place to speak with Dr. Dan Balknight about these issues, and they can help you there. That's why you need to set up an appointment today. 803-875-MENS. Or for more information, you can visit them on the web, themensclinicsc.com. Again, that's 803-875-MENS. They will treat you like an individual, a specific regimen tailored to what you need. So call today and line up your appointment. 803-875-MENS. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Right now, there is an incredible product if you are in the area of Richland County. It's called the Community Reinvestment Product, and you need to contact Jacob Crowder and learn more about this incredible interest rate with a phenomenal APR. Again, it is called the Community Reinvestment Product in the areas of Richland County, Blythewood, Northeast, Southeast, and the I-20 corridor. In the areas right there, they are offering a 4.99% interest with a 5.075 APR on a 30-year fixed mortgage. That's right. You can take advantage of this by calling Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005. Again, it's 803-719-1005. That's right. Give Jacob a call. No points, no mortgage insurance, no gimmicks, just lower payments. Call the Mortgage Guru today, 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
We have a report of a fallen tree, Bluff Road at McCord's Ferry Road, so expect to slow down in that area. Also, Longs Pond Road near I-20, kind of right there in front of Love's Truck Stop. There's a report of an accident there. And we do have some patchy dense fog around the Midlands, so just do be careful if you would. And, of course, Tuesday through Thursday, we could be expecting a fair amount of rain, so we'll be keeping that in mind. Scattered storms today, heavy rain tomorrow, rain on Wednesday, and potentially could accumulate a little bit. 84 will be our high today, 79 tomorrow, 76 right now on 107.5 The Game.
Want to remind you about the Ultimate Season Ticket giveaway. Starting today, one winner will get season tickets to all South Carolina home football, baseball, women's basketball, men's basketball games. All you got to do is go to 1075thegame.com, click on the Ultimate Season Ticket 2.0 on our media reel, and you can register. Again, go to 1075thegame.com, click on the Ultimate Season Ticket 2.0 on our media reel, and you can get registered. It'll be just like last year, where we will announce the 3 finalists, and then they will need to show up at the 107.5 The Game Summer Golf Tournament at Charwood Golf Club. That'll be August the 23rd, where, as a reminder, you need to go ahead and get signed up for that, 803-755-2000. So we've got the Ultimate Season Ticket giveaway and our Summer Golf Classic at Charwood. That'll be Friday, August the 23rd. We'll continue to get you more information. We'll call out and get registered for that, 803-755-2000. How you can do that, 803-404-6100. How you can reach us. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Gamecock Larry wants to weigh in this morning, just a few days removed from number 90. How you feeling, young man?
Feeling good like a young man should. 26 days before kickoff, all my friends and my so-called friends, Root Hall, and all the rest, Wildcat Willie, and all you guys, old Gamecock Larry. But anything that I said for the last 3 weeks, my doctor told me just mark it off. So I was kind of out of my mind. But so now you got your mind back, you got ready to go, and old Gamecock Larry is ready to go. Football's coming up. My drag racing team is dead. Boy, they went up there to Bristol, and they won big. A motocross team getting ready to go out somewhere. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Ray Tanner got all his coaches in. But you know what, old Gamecock Larry, I got a long ways to go yet. Still don't know what's wrong with them old feet, but he got about 90 years on them, so they'll be okay. But I want to thank everybody for dropping by Saturday. And so if I told you last week that we were going to go 10-2, mark it off. We're going 12-0. I appreciate all you, my friends, family, and all dropping by. I see my old cousins. I don't know, some of my young friends. I even had my doctor come out and see me. But I'm going to be okay. Everything's under control. Good Lord got it all under control. I'm just going to sit back, keep my mouth shut, eat what I want. I'm going to tell them what to fix, and I'm going to eat what I tell them. And they're going to fix what I want, and I'm just going to relax and live life for the fullest. I got 107.5, and as long as Jen's there to hold the morning show together, I ain't worried about nothing. Boy, she is the best. That's about all I got to say. I just want to say, oh, yeah, Georgia is going to lose at least 2 games this year. I will bet anybody any amount of money, put it on my debit credit card or something, any amount of money, Georgia will lose at least 2 games this year. And Trevor Smart didn't want the Gamecocks on his schedule this week. I did find that out. This year, he did not want the Gamecocks on Georgia's schedule. And if anybody don't believe me, you call me, and I can tell you, and I can show you where I got this from, and it's the truth. Georgia will lose 2 games. Clemson going to lose 3. Gamecocks going to go 12-0. Love all y'all. Go Gamecocks. Talk to you later.
There you go. A couple predictions for you to put in your back pocket from Gamecock Larry and write down and hold for December and let him know how he did. Back to the Clutch Gene thing. A couple people weighing in, Preston, and I really am intrigued by this because, again, Noah Lyles, if you haven't really followed it, and Preston, we were kind of laughing about it. As you said, Noah Lyles is what, 0.05 away from reaching Mama Thorne's.
He was made warning. She made the ominous warning of, I think he's cocky, and once you make that warning, you're very close to going on the list.
So he has to live up to the moment. He does. Katie Ledecky, all the pressure on her, has to live up to the moment. Simone Biles has to live up to the moment. And a couple of y'all are weighing in with Gamecocks that I can agree with. Gene weighing in this morning and saying Shaw to Ellington in Missouri. That was clutch. And, yes, Connor Shaw had that about him. He just knew how to make the plays. Billy and Blythewood going with Clowney, Connor Shaw, and Christian Walker as people who had the clutch Gene.
I can see it.
Those are, again, to me.
I mean, yeah, to go way back, you could think about Roth in that, when pitching in that situation. And especially, I think, in that situation, not being not being a starting pitcher and coming in and kind of changing his role throughout the season and just stepping up to what the moment was. A lot of times, just doing whatever, understanding the assignment and going out and executing.
So that brings us to a guy who's unproven, but has had these moments. Lenore Sellers. He had that moment against Furman where he rolled right. I know it's Furman. Rolls right, just throws a dime, drops it in the breadbasket of Tyshawn Russell down the right sideline for a touchdown. Has that moment against Vanderbilt. I know it's Vanderbilt in the rain. Vanderbilt was ready to go home. They'd had enough. But he weaves through the defense for about a 45-yard touchdown run. Even going back to the play that I think stood out to you in the spring game where he kind of catches it one-handed on a bad snap and rolls and kind of makes something out of nothing. Let's listen. This is Shane Beamer talking about the excitement around Lenore Sellers. This is Shane Beamer on the Jim Rome Show last week. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I'm really excited about him. Love the rule in college football where freshmen or any player can play in a certain number of games, 4 games or whatnot, and still save a redshirt year. So we were able to get Lenoris into some games last season. He played in Furman, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, maybe one more last season, and performed well when he was able to get in the game, which has us excited. But then, he was able to sit behind Spencer and learn from Spencer for a year, went through spring practice and really was impressive in the spring, and has had a great summer. So that whole quarterback room in general excites us. Lenoris is kind of the returning guy that has the most experience, but we brought in Robbie Ashford, who has started SEC games at Auburn, and really brings a unique element to that room. We brought in a transfer in Davis Bevel, a freshman in Dante Reno. Luke Doty, who's been around our program since 2020, is working as a quarterback and receiver both. So like that room, inexperienced in a lot of ways, but very talented for sure.
Is the clutch gene taught? Or is just you have that personality, that mentality, just something about you that you're right. When pressure at its highest is at its highest, and I ask this because there's 2 games out of the first 3 that Lenore Sellers has to perform. To what level, I guess, is varying. Do you say, well, the defense can uphold him and Lenore Sellers just has to perform and not turn the ball over? Or do you say, boy, Lenore Sellers has to kind of step up and make a few clutch plays? You feel like the games are likely to come down to the fourth quarter where pressure is going to be at its highest, and it's going to be on the South Carolina quarterback, again, likely Lenore Sellers, to make those plays.
This is the old nature versus nurture argument that you have in sports all the time, and this is what it is, yes, you are born with this abilities, the athletic abilities, but what it really is, you hear the cliche of trusting your training. And you saw that yesterday with Noah Lyles running the 100-meter dash because he was losing for a large percentage of that race.
Yeah.
And what he never did was he never panicked. He never tried to overrun. He just ran his race, and that was good enough to win. And so a lot of times what being clutch really means is just being able to do your job when everybody else can't do theirs because they're nervous. It's not actually doing anything special. It's just doing what you always do, but because the moment is different, everybody else changes. And so I think to answer, that's a long-winded way of saying, yes, you have the athletic ability. You're born with that. But by trusting your training and being able to execute, that's what actually makes you clutch.
803-404-6100. We will get back into that this morning. Carry on Jamie Bradford coming up here in about 15 minutes, and we'll continue on with that Noah Lyles stuff, because if you didn't see it yesterday, as Preston said, he's recalled his bench cut start on track and field, swimming.
I have to reconsider.
Yeah, there we go. We'll get back into that. 803-404-6100. You're listening to The Early Game.
Hey guys, it's Preston for your broker, my broker, Benji Getzi at Buford Lending. Buford Lending is a true mortgage broker offering the widest variety of government mortgage programs and the best mortgage experience for clients through its state-of-the-art technology and record low interest rates. Their goal is to make your next mortgage experience closing easier, cheaper, faster, and friendlier. Since 1997, Benji and his team have served thousands of investors with their dreams of real estate investing, and Buford Lending specializes in DSCR loans and fix and flip financing. Benji and his team are VA, FHA, and USDA government loan experts and offer competitive jumbo financing as well. Benji has helped over 8,000 families experience the dream of home ownership. So shop your late rate with Buford Lending today. Call 843-524-2404. That's 843-524-2404.
I thought we had a good mindset. I thought we had a good game plan. We just, we didn't start out great, but then we got momentum going, and we got some points up there, got the lead, and then, had those turnovers, that just stuff we never do. And then that kind of just, I don't know. I think it maybe took away a little confidence in us and just the momentum. And for the next few drives, we weren't playing like the Florida Gators. And then we got back going and got back the momentum and started making plays again. Just stupid mistakes. You heard me talk after the Tennessee game about how well we did, with not putting our defense in bad positions and not turning the ball.
Bill. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we did not become triumphant this weekend. I know this time is normally saved for our music review, and we've been doing a lot of great jobs, but we had to address the elephant in the room.
Oh.
The early game was not victorious this weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
And we cannot go a step further, and maybe that's why, because I sent the wrong clip to Jen, and it was supposed to be.
So we earned our second place.
Maybe that's why. But we weren't victorious this weekend. We were up for the Star Award, and we have to acknowledge this.
Yep.
We can't go past this. We were nominated for the Star Award, and as I told you all earlier in this week, you don't win silver, you lose gold.
I'm with you on that.
We lost gold. We got what is this thing called?
Award of Merit. We got a ribbon.
We got an Award of Merit.
Actually, gives a certificate.
We got a certificate.
That we don't even get. They keep it upstairs. Like it's not even. But our names
really
are
should
on
go
it.
up over the
We
door.
earned a certificate of merit this weekend. And we came up short, team. We came up short. And it's tough. It's tough.
Rigged.
It's tough. It's a tough situation. We left our all out on the field. We didn't get a chance to do it. But as we said, as the great Tim Tebow said, I promise you this, that you have not seen an early game work harder, stronger, or faster.
All our goals are in front of us.
All of our goals are in front of us, Bill, and you will not see a team work harder than we have worked, because next year, that award is ours. We're getting that award.
Yep.
I don't know how this works. I don't know anything about the polling, nominations, elections. We are getting that award next year.
If you're wondering what Preston's referring to, we talked about it a few times. We were nominated for best sports talk show. Not in the morning. It was in the state of South Carolina.
It's for South Carolina Broadcasters Association.
Right.
They do an annual awards for both TV and radio. Lots of categories: personality of the year, station of the year, all the things.
Right.
Lots of PSAs and commercials and all the stuff.
So we were one of two shows in the state. It was us and a show out of Greenville that were the finalists, if you will, selected, I guess, amongst our peers, I believe. Is that fair to say?
All the other entries.
The we were the one, and so we were up there against another show out of Greenville, and I was at the soccer match, so I did not go. Jen was in attendance,
and I was stuck on 77 in what I think was a monsoon.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! And we must have just moved away from that or something, because when you said that, I was like, well, we were pretty clear when we were driving, so it must have just been a cloud that followed
wild.
you.
I got to, I was getting down to Garner's Ferry. That's where the award was, and I was about at Forest Drive, and it was a parking lot on 77, and it was pretty wild.
So we came in second. We lost gold, was handed to silver, but we will bounce back. We will compete. We will do better interviews. I will not.
No, we won't. We're just going to be goofier, and we're just going to put together a solid entry.
That's right.
So,
we're going to put together a better entry. We're going to come back. We're going to win this thing next year.
But I guess, as I've learned, there was pride in being so many different sports talk shows across the state, and there was pride in it's kind of like the young. We're kind of like the early Bulls who couldn't quite get past the Pistons.
There you go.
Just yet, and we had to learn. We had to take our lumps a little bit. We had to kind of like this. That's to me what we're dealing with here. We had to take our lumps a little bit. There's a lot of great NBA teams. The Bulls were really good. They had to learn a little bit. They had to learn, and then they finally got past the Pistons, and you saw what happened. And that's kind of what I think we're doing here is a learning experience.
Oh, I appreciate it. Here's the clip that I wanted to play at the beginning, and this is Tim Tebow speaking for us right here.
You know, we're hoping for an undefeated season. That was my goal, something Florida's never done here. But I promise you one thing, a lot of good will come out of this. You have never seen any player in the entire country play as hard as I will play the rest of the season. And you never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody the rest of the season. And you never see a team play harder than we will the rest of this season. God bless.
You know what I also take away from that? He wasn't playing his hardest up until then.
Yeah, what was that about?
He was sandbagging.
Jeez. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Tebow was a loser because he didn't give his all until he lost, and then he's like, "Oh, I got to give my all." That's kind of the way I feel right now. Like I really can't say I've given my all.
He's super fired up. He was definitely fired up. He was talking as if he was running at that press conference. But
actually, it almost seemed like there was a tear or two just about to emerge.
It was close, man. But appreciate everybody's support. Yep. Appreciate everybody's support. Thank y'all for helping us get to this point, and we're going to take it over the top next year. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it home next year.
We got a lot of great stuff lined up for football season that we'll tell you more about as we get closer. Such as Jamie Bradford will join us in the next hour. Tony Annan will join us in the next hour. You'll continue to join us if you want to. 803-404-6100. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Love Chevrolet, where the summer spectacular deals continue to roll on. I know school starts back this week, and that usually starts to signal the end of the summer. But at Love Chevrolet, those incredible deals continue to be hot. All you got to do is get out to Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, home of the $1,000 low price guarantee, which means you can actually shop other dealerships, take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they will top it, or they'll write you a check for $1,000. It hasn't happened yet. Won't happen anytime soon. But at Love Chevrolet, not only do they have incredible deals, they have an incredible selection. Over 14 acres of brand new Chevys to choose from, and a sales staff that is ready to take you around the lot, to talk about what is in those car, trucks, or SUVs and how it can help your daily commute, how it can help you and your family. Because at Love Chevrolet, the reason they're the absolute best is because they know the car buying experience is a little pressure, it's a little stressful, but they aim to take that out of it. Go find out for yourself. I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Get out to Love Chevrolet, and together, let's drive. 7 a.m. We get you up and get you going on a August the 5th, a Monday morning, where, as I said an hour ago, that was it. That was it. That was your last weekend. That was really, we have essentially today, tomorrow, and Wednesday for you to finish up whatever you have to do. Whatever you have to do, you need to get it done, because starting Thursday night with some NFL preseason, whether it's NFL, whether it's high school jamborees that lead into the high school season, or whether it's college, football is officially here. We got the game last Thursday night, Preston, the Bears and the Titans, is that little soup that comes when you're at the hibachi restaurant that really, it's got a few mushrooms in it. Mm-hmm. Like you have it because it's there, but you're not real sure why you're having it. It's not filling at all. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what it's called. Miso soup. Yeah, mm-hmm. it's there, and you're like, you got the little, it's not even a spoon. You got the little
ladle,
yeah.
Maybe ladle.
You don't really know what you're doing. You're just like, all right, this is being served. I'm going to, I guess, have a little bit of this. I'll try a mushroom. Now what comes next is the appetizer. The appetizer comes, and then the full course meal starts about 3 weeks from Saturday there on the 24th, when we get into Florida State and Georgia Tech. And then the following week, it's full on. But that was it. That was the weekend. If you didn't get it done this past weekend, you have football every weekend starting now until mid-February.
Yeah. Everybody prepare. Everybody prepare. We're going to get ready for the season. But even before the games start, we have camp talk.
Exactly.
And we're going to get into my favorite parts. We're going to talk about depth charts, and we're going to talk about injuries, and he's looking good and he's not, and the defense is ahead and the offense is behind, and all the good stuff we love to hear. So we have made it. We have officially made it to football season.
A guy joining us now who has done radio for a long time, who obviously knows a lot about it. And I have to ask first, how was my miso soup analogy? Because I made that up on the fly, and Jamie Bradford, I thought that was a good analogy for what that Hall of Fame game was last Thursday night. It was wet too there. It didn't even make it through the whole game.
Not as wet as it's about to be here. Yeah, nice analogy. Never heard that before, but leave it up to you to say something I've never heard before. And you nailed it. Pat yourself on the back, be proud, have a beer. Bourbon.
Well, thank you. Yeah, let's be dead serious for just a minute. You are down there in the Charleston area, and our Hurricane Debbie is looks like it's making its way. How is things down there here on Monday morning? I don't know if y'all are starting to get any remnants of it, or kind of give us a quick update on Charleston and what you're kind of hearing there with this storm that appears to be rolling in.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad when it comes to water. We started getting some just rain showers and stuff yesterday and then last night. And so downtown's they're going to wear it. It's going to be pretty brutal down there because it floods anyways. So probably somewhere 15 to 20 inches of rain. And then, like the areas where I'm at, like Johns Island, James Island, those areas are expecting a bunch of flooding. And then what you have to be careful for is, it's pretty normal anywhere, but Preston knows what I'm talking about when you talk about the low country. When the ground gets like really, really wet, a lot of these old trees, like old oak trees, they'll fall, and that's what ends up knocking power out for a while. So you hope that you miss one of those, but we'll be all right. It's getting close to football, and so we'll get through these next few days and be ready to go.
Yeah. Well, thoughts and prayers certainly will be with you, and we'll continue to monitor this as we go through the week here and see what exactly happens with Hurricane Debbie as it starts to roll in again here in Columbia. I know we're expecting a little bit of it, but not quite like what you're going to get. So we'll certainly keep our thoughts and prayers with you and with everybody down there in Charleston and Hilton Head and Savannah as this thing moves up the coast. But let's talk a little bit. Let's start with an area that I went to. And, Jamie, I didn't tell you this last night, but Tony Annan will join us at the back half of the hour, 7:30 to 8 o'clock.
Awesome.
And we will talk a little bit about the soccer match on Saturday. So we'll talk a lot of football here the first 30 minutes with you. But your takeaways as we got up to the start of preseason camp last week. Shane Beamer speaking on Thursday. Your takeaways from that?
Well, I think I think I mentioned this maybe last week. I think there's a quiet confidence in that building that this football team has a chance to surprise some people. Now, again, you got to win games to surprise people, and you can surprise people and be better than everybody thinks you are, but also not win games at the same time, right? So it's going to be pretty critical very early in the first couple of weeks. Kentucky, LSU. I mean, you got to win one of them, or at least you feel like you do. And so I think they like who they are from a depth standpoint. I think they're interested to see how some of that develops here in the preseason. There's obviously some pretty critical depth chart questions that are a little bit different from years past, and the fact that we were really kind of trying to figure out how to fill the depth chart. They have a full depth chart as long as folks stay healthy. It's just the healthy competition is going to come along with it, and somebody actually might, you're going to have different positions where I think they're going to be guys who really truly earn starting jobs, at least going into week one, where maybe, not to be disparaging and not to throw shade at anybody, but maybe a little bit in the past, some guys were kind of plugged in just by default. That's kind of the best they had. So I think the next couple of weeks are gonna show some true colors for some of the guys that are on this roster.
Yeah, that's not throwing shade at anybody. One of my coaches used to be like, some of y'all in here are starting by default. He said, you figure out who it is, but that is a thing that is real, where you just don't have enough bodies, and some people have to end up playing, and that obviously having that depth creates competition. And Jamie, it feels like you've been in the game a long time, Jamie. It feels like there's actually open competition this year, whereas some years, I know we say it every year, but it's not as open as it is this year. Is my feeling on that correct?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. I mean, I guess I bet y'all's answers would be the same as mine. If I had to ask you, who are your surefire? We're not talking about, well, probably. No. I'm naming starters on the offense. I can name 3: Vershawn Lee, LaNorris Sellers, and Rocket Sanders. Can y'all name anybody else that's just an absolute surefire starter today?
You talking about overall? Give me those 3 again. LaNorris Sellers, Rocket Sanders.
Vershawn Lee is starting.
Yeah.
Okay. Vershawn Lee is going. I can just tell you he's starting. Rocket Sanders and LaNorris Sellers. I'll throw Josh Simon in there for the sake of the conversation.
That's the only other one I was going to say.
I was maybe going to go Ja'Kai Moore, maybe, but I don't know about that. I see where you're going with that, but I guess I could.
Everybody else is open. I mean, there's nothing else that you say surefire, dead red. That's a start. Like, we know that young man is starting. And if you flip it on the defensive side of the football, you can add some more names to that. I think secondary's locked down. O'Donnell Fortune, who I cannot wait to watch play football this year. I am a huge fan of O'Donnell Fortune. I think you've got 2 guys locked in at linebacker, and I think you got 2 guys locked in up front at the tackle position. I personally think that Tonka and Boogie will start. But outside of that, it's all open, and even outside of that, there's a lot of guys that are going to play. So that's why I think the competition in fall camp preseason camp. It ain't fall, it's August. Preseason camp here is going to be, as long as they stay healthy, as healthy as it's been.
We'll continue talking about this. I'll bring this back up, the clutch gene, if you will, because one of the reasons we've been talking about it, Jamie, is watching Katie Ledecky, watching Noah Lyles, watching Simone Biles, when they've got to perform and they're able to do it and win and take home gold. And now you look at maybe a LaNorris Sellers. Has South Carolina had that guy with the clutch gene the last few years? I know Spencer Rattler. There's a difference, Preston. You agree? There's a difference in being a really good player, but also not having I guess you'd call it the mental makeup to make the play when it matters the most. Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence had it for Clemson. That's the reason they won 2 national championships. Alabama has had those guys that just, when it matters most, they make the play. I go back, Stetson Bennett. Old Stetson Bennett seemed like a guy who just, when a play had to be made, he would make the play. They had great players around him, but still, that guy has to make the play. My question to y'all is going to be, have we seen something from LaNorris Sellers yet that indicates that maybe he's got it? Whether it's a personality trait and you hear him talk, we've joked, Jamie, Preston, about old Professor Sellers there, looking like somebody who's way smarter than the average college student who just seems to have an aura about it. I remember Connor Shaw kind of having something like that, and I compared it, Jamie. I'll also tell you this. I compared it last week, going from Phil Petty. And again, I'm not talking about talent here, but Phil Petty, kind of like a Spencer Rattler, to a Corey Jenkins and a Lenora Sellers, two entirely different styles of quarterbacks. I'll get your opinion on that, and we'll talk a little bit about that clutch, Gene, and let you and Preston go around that. Also, talking about clutch, I want to ask you, too, about a guy you just mentioned, Rocket Sanders, and the value of having an all-SEC caliber back in your backfield. We'll talk about that as well. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, joined as he always is, always joins us on a Monday morning, Jamie Bradford. It is the early game.
President for Integrated Media. Listen, we've been counting down the days probably since 130, and now we're down under 30. Bill has already told you that these weekends are slipping by. Don't rush, but don't wait. You can still get ready with Integrated Media. Get your outdoors ready for the football season that is right here upon us. You can get Samsung Terrace TVs, waterproof. You can get Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors. Control all your devices from just one remote. So from home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat or monitoring your security systems from your cell phone, Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
Yeah, he's doing great. When he came in from Arkansas, Jim, we had to do surgery and rehab an injury that he brought from Arkansas on the shoulder, and so he didn't really do much at all during spring practice. But he's been on a mission since he got here, and has had very much a pro all business mentality to get healthy and get back to the Rocket Sanders of 2022. You know, there was a reason that if you look back at the preseason all SEC teams going into last year, so a year ago at this time, he was first team preseason all SEC as a running back, and rightfully so. And it was really awesome to be able to watch him out there today, handing the ball to him. Today was actually his first real practice here at South Carolina because he didn't do much in the spring rehabbing his injury. So he looks great. He's worked really, really hard to get himself in position and be the best version of Rocket Sanders that the country has seen.
Shane Beamer talking last week with Jim Rome and Preston and Jamie. I don't know if we've talked enough about Rocket Sanders and South Carolina having a guy that is a legit – I mean, the guy – Rocket Sanders could very well be, if healthy, be the best running back in the league. It's not a wild assumption. It's a debatable one. But you are talking about a guy who has been proven during his time at Arkansas, who's shown what he can do. My question, I'll start, Preston, with this is – when a guy has shoulder injuries, a running back, let's just go with a running back, not a wide receiver or a linebacker or a safety, a running back, and you've had to have an off-season shoulder surgery, something that sounded, I thought, based on his lack of availability last year, I thought was maybe a little more serious than has been led on. What do we take away from just the fact that he's coming off a shoulder surgery at a position where your shoulders are kind of important?
Yeah, there's no way to protect you. At quarterback, you can slide. At quarterback, you can get out of bounds. It's very difficult to do that as a running back, and you're going to have to take on those types of hits, like you said, to your shoulders. So I'm in agreement with you. It felt like as a shoulder surgery, the rehab lasted a long time, which might indicate that it was maybe more serious than we just think. It was more than just like a separated shoulder.
Right.
You know, there was probably some structural damage in there. And I don't know how quickly that stuff heals. But I'm sure they have the medical staff on it, and I'm sure he's going to be cleared and he's healthy to this point. It's just going to matter, is he able to take some of the pounding that it's going to take to get through an SEC season.
Jamie, what is your expectation for, because I think this is a huge part of it. You go back in 2022, Rocket Sanders had 222 carries for 1,400 yards, 1,443 yards, and he scored 10 touchdowns. I mean, this is a guy who was averaging 6.5 yards a carry. That was a pretty good offensive line for Arkansas in 2022 as well. But to me, that's a big part of it. What is a fair expectation, and how much should we expect Rocket Sanders to carry the load early while Lenore Sellers really gets his feet wet?
Well, yeah, it's a loaded conversation with a lot of moving parts. Number one, I don't think that we should be expecting Rocket Sanders to carry the entire load early. There's a reason why they brought 3 running backs in out of the portal, not to mention that they've signed kids, out of high school who they're going to do their best to bring along. I think especially in week 1, I don't think you're going to see Rocket Sanders get 20 carries. He might get 8 or 9. He might get 10. I don't know, somewhere in there. But they're going to see what they've got back there, even if he's 100. Which, look, he's been cleared. Like, I know that you're not saying that he hasn't, but for anybody maybe wondering, he's full go. Like, it'd be more concerning to me if Rocket Sanders was not right now. Hey, we expect him to be ready by game 1. That never happens. We expect, that's very rare. So he is full go. He is ready to go. He is healthy. But I don't think that how the number of carries you see him get in week 1 are going to be most likely what he's getting somewhere in the middle of the season if he stays healthy. Now, you get into week 2 in Lexington and then week 3 at home against LSU, that's probably a little bit of a wait-and-see type thing. Like, if you're running the football well with Rocket Sanders on the road and you've got a touchdown lead in the fourth quarter and it's working, he's probably going to get the ball more. So, and you mentioned the offensive line and how that contributed his success in Fayetteville in 2022. That's still wait and see here. I think they really like where they are from a competitive standpoint. and a talent standpoint. But when the lights come on, are those guys going to perform? You know, what are they going to do offensively? How much of Lenore Sellers are you going to use in the run game? So I do think that Coach Loggins and Rocket and Lenore's and this offensive line, and added input from the great Sean Elliott, added input from a guy named Mike Shula. Like, I think this thing is very much a work in progress, and I'm not so sure that we're going to really know exactly what it can be until a little bit further down the road.
I think one of the questions that you ask about this is how Dow Loggins marries his run game philosophy with Sean Elliott, also to use Rocket Sanders. We forget last year Mario Anderson didn't really come on till about a quarter of the year in. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really start making plays till about a quarter of the year in. He did finish with 707 yards. It wasn't an awful year for him. The injury, I think, unfortunately, what leaves us the lasting impression is the injury in the Clemson game, where it does appear he got concussed. And then, obviously, the decision, which seemed to go a little sideways to transfer out. Mario Anderson came around last year. I do wonder now, if you take what some of the things Dow Loggins did with that run game to give Mario Anderson success and marry it with Sean Elliott, Preston, to create something that fits what Rocket Sanders is best at.
That's a very strong possibility. My only objection would be is when you try and put too many things together. Not that if they're doing too many disparate things. And that's why I keep coming back to what's going to take the lead as far as the playbook is concerned. There's not a lot of difference between inside zone, outside zone. Everybody runs everybody runs a lot of the same plays. What they have to get on the same terms of is, when do you call the plays? What plays does this offensive line run best? And how do you execute those things? As Jamie just said, it's nice to have somebody who is an expert by all accounts in Sean Elliott in the running game, and hopefully he can just add on to what they've already done. Because as you stated, 700 yards for not even having a full season and having all the injuries on the offensive line is really not that bad when you look back at it in retrospect.
It was technically, since the 2019 season, the second best year individually for a running back. Tavian Feaster in 2019 had 672. In the 10-game, there's a name for you, in the 10-game 2020 COVID season, Kevin Harris has had the best running back season of anybody over the last 5 years going back. And in that year, obviously, we remember what he did, where he ran for just over 1,000 yards that year, 1,138 yards and 15 touchdowns. It's hard to believe that team went 2-8. You talk about one day just going down a path, but that particular team with Kevin Harris, that was a really good running team.
Well, you just sent me down the path I was thinking of. I don't know if it was the first carry or very early in when Tavian Feaster was here and he got the ball and he made that spin move and he housed it, and we was like, oh, we hadn't had something like that.
I think that was the North Carolina game.
That was pretty early, right? And we was like, ooh, we haven't had that in a long time, and it didn't necessarily pan out like that all year. So maybe Rocket does something like that early in this year where you're like, oh, this is something different. This is something that we haven't seen in a while.
I mentioned 707 yards. Since 2016, Mario Anderson is only the third back to have over 700 yards last year. And I'm going even further back. 2015, South Carolina didn't have a 700-yard rusher. In 2016, Rico Dowdle had 700 yards rushing in a season. I think he was right at 767 is what I just looked back. But you have to go back to the Mike Davis, the Marcus Lattimore eras to see the success that Mario Anderson had last year. I know a lot of people have been on Dow Loggins and questioned the run game. And we also, by the way, guys, I know Mario Anderson, a lot of those runs, I'd have to go back and see how many were 70-yard runs, because he had surprisingly like 3 or 4 that accounted for a lot of those 700 yards. But as bad as that offensive line was last year, he still had the third best rushing season of any running back since 2015. What does that tell you, Jamie? I don't know if that tells me anything or what. I don't know what to make of that. It's a surprising statistic when we think about how bad that offensive line was last year.
Yeah, and let's right. All these conversations that all the numbers you're throwing around, great individual numbers, or maybe they're not so great. Maybe you look at them and say they could have been better. Like, for instance, Mario could have run the football a little bit more last year. But a lot of these numbers that are these guys, the amount of yards that they ran for and this like that, quite frankly, all with fractured offenses. A lot of those numbers came from the fact that that's all they had in that particular game or that particular season. You mentioned Kevin Harris; they couldn't do anything but run the football. So, what does it look like with a competent offense? You look back to what Coach Spurrier did with his running backs while he was in charge of the offense here at South Carolina, and you had an offense, you had a scheme, you had a style, you ran the football off of throwing the football. He threw the football off of running the football. A lot of what we've seen around here is we're running it because that's the only thing that we can do right now. We can't do anything else. We're throwing it because it's the only thing that we can do right now. We can't do anything else. They've got to be able to do both. And what does an offense look like when these things are competent? That's what you're hoping that Lenore Sellers' talent and Rocket Sanders' talent and experience and all these other guys, that's what you're hoping to get when you put all these heads together, Coach Elliott, Coach Shula, and obviously the leader of that entire group, Dal Loggins, and everybody else, Markel Blackwell. The rotations, guys. Rotations are a big deal. I mean, no offense to Montario. I like Montario Hardesty personally. I think he's cool. He's a good dude. But his rotations were baffling at times. Baffling. Juju McDowell between the tackles, 3rd and 4. Like, what are we doing? You get Mario Anderson sitting there. He's running 4 yards before somebody puts a hand on it. So there's a lot of moving parts in this conversation, and a lot of what you just talked about were interesting decisions and fractured offenses. If all that stuff comes together, what does it look like then? That's the yardage. The yardage matters, but doesn't matter. Are you moving the football and scoring points in a competent offense? That's what I'm anxious to see.
We'll continue discussing that as the weeks come along, but as I look out into the lobby, Coach Tony Annan making his way, and we're going to get into a little bit of soccer discussion with him on what occurred. Jamie, I saw you put a tweet out. Obviously, a lot of praise to Coach Annan, a lot of praise to Chance Miller. We'll talk a lot about what Tony Annan saw. Jamie, we'll get your opinion on it as well as Coach Annan makes his way in studio. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jamie Bradford, soon to be joined by Coach Tony Annan and, of course, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Pain from arthritis is just awful. Bone on bone, constant pain. It robs you of so much of the stuff you love to do. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain, and I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. Listen, there are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief, and the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healer properties, revitalizing your joints so that you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know steroids and surgery pain pills are no longer your only options. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. This is the future of medicine. So call for a free consultation now at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
7:35 here as we roll along on a Monday morning, August the 5th. Last Thursday, South Carolina football players reported to Shane Beamer to get ready to go. And today, Coach Annan, a big day for you. I know you're going to do this with us, and you're coming off of a big weekend. But today, you officially get to get your hands on your players after months of being Jamie Bradford, obviously with us as well. Coach Jamie Bradford. I know you're not looking at each other, but hopefully this is the best introduction I can do. Jamie, I don't know if you've ever heard the soccer rules here for the NCAA. Coach is not allowed to do anything with his players for the summer. He's not even allowed, if I understand correctly, you're not even allowed to discuss with your assistants what's going on with your team.
Well, we can talk amongst the staff, but we cannot discuss tactics or anything with the players during their break. Can't be near their training sessions, captain's practices, can't be near strength and conditioning. We're not allowed to have any reporting from strength and conditioning to say, hey, this guy's doing well, this guy's not. We're not allowed any of that now.
There you go, Jamie.
Till today. It's report day today.
Coach, how you been, man?
Good, Jamie. You good?
Yeah, we're doing all right. How proud were you Saturday night watching all that unfold?
It was amazing. It was. I loved it. It was. I took a picture from where I was sitting at one point before I went halftime. I went round to the suites end, but the sun was setting behind the stadium, and I took that picture.
Coach, I'm going to have to check and see if there was any edits on that, because that looked like a professional picture.
Well, that's my hobby, photography. So it's
birding and photography.
Bird watching and photography, yeah. I caught it. I caught it at a good time.
It was nice.
That picture went
really beautiful.
Pretty popular, I think, so.
As Jamie was just asking, I know in your mind, having seen a lot more professional soccer than the majority of us, in your mind, how did you envision it in the months leading up to what it actually occurred on Saturday night?
Honestly, I didn't have that much of an expectation. I wasn't sure how it would go. I wasn't sure how it would be received. I don't know. I didn't know how the crowd would be. I had no expectation, to be honest. It was just an event that was going to happen that I was going to be obviously part of and love being around it. And to see Willie B as a soccer stadium, for the one night. I couldn't hear Jen there. Sorry. For that one night it was just an amazing thing. I think a lot of soccer people in this city were really, really proud of the event that they put on, and I thought the staff and I thought the organisation was amazing within the stadium. I thought it was a brilliant event. I talked to the promoter, and he said it was the only one that sold out.
Really?
It was the best field they'd played on in the tour. And he said the crowd was, brilliant. And I think some of the players even mentioned how great the crowd was too. So, full credit to Columbia. When people were saying, why Columbia? I think we showed them why.
What was your take? Because about halfway through the game, my son Austin and I were sitting there. What was your take on the atmosphere compared to what you get? And I've told Austin, I said, well, Coach has got relationships with Newcastle. Maybe we can figure something out and go over there. What was that environment like compared to what you would see at a Premier League game?
It was different, right? It was quieter. There wasn't as much of the singing and the chanting because some people don't know those songs and don't know those chants. When you're in a Premier League ground, they sing the same songs every week, just like, when you look at Sandstorm during a football game here, and everybody knows every time to swing a towel and everyone knows when to say, USC. European fans know their songs. So it was different, but I think there's a lot of fans of soccer that were there and a lot of fans that weren't soccer people that got into it. I thought it was a great environment. I thought the environment was brilliant, and I think the stadium made that as well,
Jamie, how did it come across for you on television, being able to watch it?
Yeah, no, it was interesting listening to Coach's comments there. I picked up on that, and I thought the same thing. I thought, man, there's a lot of things that we just aren't accustomed to here that if this match is being played, of course, in one of their home ballparks across the pond, it's entirely different. With that said, I think Columbia did the best they could, and I think they crushed it. You mentioned the field. I think one of the things that probably doesn't get mentioned enough is how incredible everything is run at South Carolina from a facility standpoint. I mean, our turf management is awesome. We've talked to Clark Cox a bunch. Clark's one of the great guys out there. That entire staff, what they do, their commitment to it. So it's awesome to hear that, Coach, especially after the rain and all those type things. If I can squeeze in a quick question. So I was talking to Coach Tanner last week, and I know that obviously Chance Miller had so much to do with this and getting it here, and Chance is at Coastal now. I think he was in the ballpark on Saturday night.
Yeah, I was sitting next to him.
So you were, man, that's all. I bet the smile on his face was incredible.
Yeah, he was pretty proud, and he should have been. You know, he did a lot to bring this game here, and he did a lot to get it going, and he was very proud of sitting there with his family. It was a good time.
That is so awesome to hear, and congratulations to him and everybody that worked on this thing, and you and Coach Tanner mentioned last week. I asked him. I said, Coach, what are you hoping to get out of this? Because it's being, the whole world is going to be able to watch this thing, the whole globe. You got people coming from all parts of the world to come sit in your ballpark and watch it. And what are you hoping to be able to get out of this? And do you want to do more of this down the road? And he said yes. The answer is absolutely yes. We want to do more major events at Williams-Brice Stadium. Have you been in any of those discussions? Have you talked to him about that stuff? Did you learn anything about Saturday that maybe you could say, hey, maybe try this next time? Like, what are your thoughts on all that?
I talked to Chance quite a bit when the whole idea came up, and I gave him my opinion, and obviously he asked my opinion on what we should do, what we could do. Not with Coach Tanner as much, but with Chance I did. I'm not sure if I'll be included in future conversations about things, but obviously I've been around the game quite a while at a level where this happens a lot. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to discuss and happy to help out when I'm asked, but I haven't been included in any future conversations. But I do have some ideas now that they've pulled it off and shown that it can be done. I was with Man United legends and Liverpool legends in the Horseshoe Club doing like a MC thing for them, and all of the staffs were full of praise for everything. Liverpool trained in our soccer facility for 2 days. They took over our soccer facility, and they let us watch. They let us in the park. They let us be sort of part of it and be around it. And they took photographs with our staff, and they were brilliant. And some of the social media stuff that came out with the Carolina soccer behind the Liverpool players and big Gamecock sign behind Mo Salah, and it was awesome. It was really good. So I think we can pull it off, and we could do more for sure. It's just a matter of contacting and getting across the line.
You say that, and I tell you what, we'll hit a break and we'll come back and we'll wrap it up with Jamie. We've got you here for another hour. Do want to talk a little bit about your squad as they start to arrive on campus today, and then also get your thoughts. I know this will be the last time we get you for several months as well.
Yeah, it's head down all the way from here.
That's right, so we'll do that. You're listening to Tony Anna and Jamie Bradford joining us this morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, and Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. For nearly 30 years, Mid-State Roofing has been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. It's their proven history that is your assurance that they will handle your roofing issues in a timely manner and with absolute professionalism. You need to give them a phone call because they are ready to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 803-356-1919. They'll have an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee ready to take your phone call and make sure that they get you lined up in a maintenance contract so that your roof is taken care of. And let's be honest, whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, or Myrtle Beach, we've seen what storms are coming. We know we're going to get some heavy rains. You want to make sure there's no leaking of your roof. So whether it's high-rises or industrial manufacturing, they are ready to help you. Again, that's 803-356-1919. That's how you can get in touch with Mid-State Roofing. And again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they're ready to take your phone call. So if you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. We're just a week ago, I had a little issue with my heating and air unit, and it was the professionalism of AAA Heating and Air to come out and fix the issue. Alex did an incredible job coming out and taking care of and making sure that my unit was up and working properly because, well, if you've been living here in the Midlands, you know how hot it will get. So I personally vouch for the professionalism, for the customer service of Roy and Dana Finley and AAA Heating and Air. And right now, they are offering an incredible deal. If you're in the market for a brand new heating and air unit, now is the time to give them a phone call and speak with them. 803-677-1500. You can get a free replacement estimate. Again, that's a free replacement estimate. And then if you're looking to purchase a brand new unit, guess what? No payments, no interest until 2025. You can't top this deal. And again, the customer service and the professionalism is what stands out about AAA Heating and Air. Give them a phone call today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-677-1500. Final segment of the hour here with Jamie Bradford. Tony Annan hanging around for about 30 more minutes after this as he will start really getting into it with his team today. And we'll talk more about that coming up in the next hour. But, Jamie, I'll allow you to kind of, if you've got a question or two for Coach that you want to get in there to speak about Saturday night or just moving forward, anything that you want to throw at him.
Yeah, I think to tie in his team with what we saw last week, you mentioned the experience of being able to watch those guys. What do you feel like your team learned from that?
Yeah, we were fortunate that our team all got a ticket, which they got to go and they got to experience it, and the guys were loving it. They did a big tailgate beforehand with Chappell Newman, the law firm in town that helps with men's soccer. They put on a tailgate for our guys to hang out for a few hours, which was awesome, over in Gamecock Park. So I think our new guys, our freshman guys, they got to experience, being around Willie B on a game day, which was cool. A few of our guys were Liverpool fans, so they got to be at the practice down on the field, and they were runners for Liverpool, which was awesome. They were buzzing about that. So, we had some recruits in town that some official visits were in town that actually got a ticket to the game themselves. So they went to the game as well. And that was just an incredible experience. I think all of the recruits who were here for the weekend all were very, very positive. And they were major recruits. So for our program, and I know the women capitalised on it too, so I think soccer in general, we really, really capitalised on the event and really helped us.
So can we, Bill, you're good at this. Can we start some sort of a movement, set some sort of state record, maybe national record for the largest attendance ever for a collegiate soccer match and find a way to get your guys to play a game in Williams-Brice?
We brought that up last week, and now that you've seen the logistics of it, and again, I know there's a lot more to do as it pertains to try and work with South Carolina, with the football program as well. But was there anything that now you could take forward and say, hey, if we could do the Clemson game here? Obviously, in-state game. Now, typically you play that. I don't know if that's kind of like basketball or like football in terms of it's a pretty set date where you have to have it right there at the beginning of the year. If you could move it up. I know how you've done it now. Like this year will be the 30th, the Friday night before the opening game for both South Carolina.
It's always that Friday.
Does it? I'm asking.
I don't. Friday of Labor Day weekend.
Does it have to be, or is that set in stone?
For Clemson, it does because of their SEC schedule starts so early.
Okay.
So that's the way it's always been. Believe me, my wheels were turning. I'm an ideas guy as well, so my wheels were turning when I was stood in the middle of the field a few days before kickoff. I was stood there with Tim Flanagan, who does an amazing job, and his crew on all facilities, like you said. And I was like, how could we do this? And he started laughing. He said, good luck. Like, it's to do that game during the season would be to change the lines on, because the football lines would be down. They're going down today, I believe, the football lines.
Go back in?
They go back in today. And they have to take up the turf from the corners where they added the turf, the grass.
And I actually saw a couple of people say that they wish that they would leave that there in the corners. I don't know the logistics of that. I'm not a ground
sure
person,
but it's got to come up, I guess. But yeah, it would be awesome to try and do something. It would probably have to be in the spring when the field's not in the greatest shape.
Right.
But yeah, it'd be brilliant to try and do something. You never know. But like during football season and soccer season running parallel, I just don't see how, number one, the grounds crew could do it. But if they would be willing to, and if Shane would be willing to have a soccer game on his football pitch, I don't know. I wouldn't want a football game on my soccer field, so I don't know. Yeah.
You mentioned it real quick, the reviews you got from both sides on the field, and again, both you and Jamie giving a shout out to the grounds crew, but it was considered one of the best pitches that they played on in the entire trip.
One of the main promoters from TAG, I was stood on the field with him on Thursday, and he said this is by far the best surface these teams will have played on this year. And he'd been every game. He'd be on the road for 30 days with the teams. So one of the main guys who organised it from TAG said this will be the best surface they've played on. Now it was bang on 70 yards wide, which is a little under FIFA. If you want to do an international game or you want to do an official game in the stadium, it would probably have to be 73 to 75, which means, and the guy was stood there talking to Tim like, you just got to rip out all those bushes. You just got to take all the bushes out. And the guy was like, just get rid of those bushes, and Tim was like, yeah, okay. Like, but he was like so nonchalant about it. Just rip them out, rip that out, rip this out, and you'll be able to do a FIFA game here. And you look at those bushes and you go, well, there's millions of dollars to be made, or there's those bushes.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we could do it. It's doable, for sure.
Jamie, we will catch up with you next Monday. Always appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
Jamie.
Appreciate you, Jamie.
Take care. Jamie Bradford will join us again as we really get into football season. But we'll spend the next 30 minutes talking a little more soccer, what we saw this weekend, and coaches' team reports today. We'll talk about that. It's the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. The demolition on our kitchen finally got finished, and they did a fantastic job. CHW Cabinetry, they came out, took all the measurements. We met with them, saw all the different ideas that we could have, chose some accessories, laid out the design, and then while they were being prepared, we got that photorealistic rendering we could take out and purchase things like flooring and backsplash and countertops and all of that. So very helpful. And they kept us informed throughout the process and let us know when to expect our cabinetry to be coming in. We also recently had a cabinet put into a guest bath. Same great experience we've come to appreciate. You can do so many things in your home, and they can help to get you more organized. Visit chwcabinetry.com or call them today at 803-520-6837. And, of course, be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. Passion from inspiration to installation. Still in the cleanup stages, Fish Hatchery Road at Charleston Highway. Also Killian Road at I-77, that accident in progress. And Hayward Brockington Road at Winterwood Road, a fallen tree. And that's something we're going to need to watch out for really for the next few days because of all of this rain that's going to be coming in due to that tropical system. Scattered storms today, a high of 84. Heavy rain tomorrow. Rounds of rain on Wednesday, heavy rain on Thursday. Plus, we're going to have increased winds as well. So that saturated ground and the wind might see some more trees coming down. So just be careful this week and definitely keep an eye on the forecast. Right now, we are looking at 76. It's overcast on the early game.
ATL boys.
8 a.m. as we roll along on a Monday morning, August the 5th. Another, really, for the university as a whole, I have no idea. Coach, you might know this. Preston, you might know this. When does classes actually start for the university? When do we?
20th.
20th? So is this about the time we start getting students moving back in, or is that about another week? Is that?
They should be starting to come in this week and next week.
Because we'll start to see down here where we're at, we see the students wandering by on Gervais Street looking a little lost and with their backpacks. And I think last year you were a little annoyed with that.
Yeah, they just come back. Yeah, they're the lifeblood of the city, so we need them, and that's one of my jobs. But they just don't know how to walk in the city traffic. A lot of them come from places where they don't walk a lot, and so they don't understand, when you're supposed to walk across. They're buried in their phone a lot. So you just got to train them up. That's all. Just need a little coaching.
There we go. Yeah.
Preston training. We'll get that started.
Just how to walk in the city.
Send you out at 9 a.m. little classes. But so everything now starting to kick off. Football has now reported. And today your team reports to you, and it's your first chance to really get a hold of them and start training this week. You mentioned it next Wednesday. You've got an exhibition match to get ready for. So what is it like? Take us behind the scenes. We've never asked Shane Beamer like this. I know Preston's played and you've been a part of it, but what is it like today for you to get these guys in, and what some of the things that you do with them?
Report days today, so they've got meetings starting at 10 a.m. and they go through till probably 3:34 this afternoon. So they get social media, sports science, compliance, content. They'll do headshot video stuff today for the hype video. That's a big chunk of the day. They'll do all the meetings, the team meeting, they'll get their gear today. So they basically spend the day getting prepared for the season. And then tomorrow early we'll start preseason. And then we've got a game on Saturday against NC State. So that's the good and bad of it. The good is we get to get going, it's exciting, and we go again. And the bad is we don't have much time to get ready for exhibition games.
I'm interested to hear this, Preston. Talk a little bit about your experience of early on reporting and the practices compared to what his practice is like. Obviously, you had to go through two-a-days, to actual two-a-days. Talk a little bit about that, and then I'm interested to hear how that compares to what you do, but also to what it was like when you had professional, preseason camps like this, and how college football compares to college soccer in terms of the preseason camps.
I imagine they're pretty similar. It's just only because we had a longer time where there was a lot more training in between the start of camp and the game. I would imagine ours was a lot more strenuous early because you have to balance getting ready for an actual season where we basically just beat each other up for about 2 weeks, and then we get into game week. So I imagine that was a little bit different. So I guess that's my question. How do you balance the idea of prepping a team and then getting ready for a game, because this is like game week for you?
Yeah, look, it's probably the most difficult thing I've had to adjust to.
I think so.
Coming into college sports, right? You get 14 days to get your team ready for their first official game, or 15 days really, which is not a lot of time. And with soccer, you can't do 2-a-days for 10 days and expect your team to be ready to go. It's just, I don't think it's possible. So we do a couple of double days where we do a session in the morning and then we do a tactical session in the evening and try and work tactically and individually, which is not too hard on them. But there's a ton of recovery you have to do during the day, and it's full on. You know, it's although it's exciting, it's also quite frustrating that you can't take your time and spread it out and get ready. Most of our guys have been training through the summer, so hopefully they come in a decent shape where we don't have to do too much beating up, as you say. But once you get into the season and you're playing twice a week, you know, you get a football game on a Saturday. We play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday for like 6 weeks. Then we slow it down and hope we've still got gas in the tank towards the end of the season. So it's not easy. It's not easy on the guys. It's then you throw in school, you throw in studies, you throw in life in college. It's a difficult season for them. It's basically 18 games without national tournament crammed into 3 months.
And we don't talk about it often, but I know from you and your staff, you were joking. You know, you said head down for the next, but y'all are not going to breathe until the season's over, right? You're going to take a deep breath
until
now
Christmas.
That's the goal.
We would like to go into mid-December, which is obviously the big dance, right? And it is literally head down. Analysis of games, preparation of games, practice, travel. I said to my wife 2 days ago, I said, you know, are you prepared to not see me for 3.5 months, hopefully? You know? She goes, yeah, I've got it. But
that's part of the deal.
That's what it is. It's up at 6 a.m. every day, and it's home at 7, 8 p.m. every day as well.
Right.
So, Preston, we kind of joked with you last week about this, but let's be serious for a second about Preston kind of joked about Shane Beamer and some of the assistants being very vague. Oh, we've learned stuff from year to year to year, but not really telling us what they've learned. What have you learned about these next really 2 weeks, about how you train your team? Maybe changes you made from your first year to what you're doing this year, tweaks and changes that you've made that you feel have your team better prepared. Maybe first year one, you're like, I shouldn't have done that.
There's many things I shouldn't have done year one, year two, I think. Year three, I started to get my head around it. But periodization of training is the most important piece, soccer-wise. Making sure you try to keep your team in as best shape you can to have them available as late in the season as you can, right? I mean, it's tough because you want to instill a mentality of this, and this, but to get to those points, using your experience of how do I get to that mentality of this, and this, you have to train a certain way. The problem is you can't train that way because you'll ruin the kid, or you'll burn them out, or you'll maybe injure them because of the load of the season and the load of the games. So it's a really difficult balance to train the way you want to train, to get them to where you want them to be mentally and physically, and not hurt them or not, damage the depth of your team. So that's the balance. It's not ideal. There's people pushed for a double season in soccer for a long time. And soccer is one of the most taxing physical sports. There's no denying that. If you're a midfielder, you're doing 8 miles a game. And maybe more. Some of our guys, did more than 8 miles in some of the games. The minimum you're probably going to do is 4 to 5 miles in a game. If you're talking about that, you're doing it twice a week. Now put training on top of that. It's not an easy sport physically to recover from. There's a stat that it's 72 hours from playing a game to getting back to normal. Not above normal, just to normal. Well, we play a game on that 72-hour mark. So it is difficult. That is the hardest thing to get your head around, is the schedule, the load that you're putting on your players, and under-training, because you start to pull back a little bit. Do you under-train? Because there's under-training too, So that's a real tough one.
Are you a coach that goes back and you'll look, or maybe you've already done this and looked at your notes from last preseason to see how you did things? Like I think it was Shane Beamer talked about, he had notes from his time at Georgia, his time at Oklahoma, on how they trained it. Are you a guy that does that, or do you go into each, because it's a different team, it's a different club, are you a guy that says, all right, this is a fresh start, I'm not gonna look back at my notes from what was going on last year?
I always reflect, and we document everything. We videotape every session. We document every session in a session plan and make notes after the session to say if this went well, that went well. So I always reflect. But you've got, after 30 years of doing it at a decent level, you've got a good idea of what it takes. The problem is what it takes that in college is difficult, because it's hard to instill what it takes daily, because you don't want to do too much. You don't want to get them into a point where they're in a real risk of injury, and then you lose them. So that's the most difficult and frustrating thing to get your head around, because you know what you have to do, but you can't always do that for fear of losing that player. I think Pochettino from Spurs said it once, because they criticised him and how he trains, because he trains at a level to get the mentality, and he said, well, you're going to have injuries and you're going to lose players. Let's just hope it's not the good ones.
Okay.
So, he takes the risk, but he gets his team to where he wants it to be. So, yeah, I've learned a lot, as a cliche goes.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning, and I think when you're not learning, you're standing still. So, yeah.
Talking about your program, I know you got to be a little vague with this, but the atmosphere on Saturday night, the match itself, how much does it help you just with general recruiting, getting the South Carolina brand out there, or is it because it's Liverpool and Man United, and it's not at Stone Stadium, it's at Williams-Brice? Is it not as impactful as maybe you would hope, or how does that do big picture for you?
No, I think having those size brands, I mean, those are global brands, right? Having those on our campus, whether it's in Stone or not, is huge. But the fact that we got them to use Stone, and they wanted to use Stone, and they loved Stone, they said it was great, and they really paid a lot of compliments about it. And then you got your pictures, and look, we live in a social media world now, there's no denying that. So kids who potentially might want to come to South Carolina see Mo Salah or McAllister in front of a big Gamecocks badge isn't bad. All press is good press sort of thing, and that's a good recruiting tool. Like, we had them here, you could see them here, it didn't damage us at all. It only enhanced what we're doing here. And obviously, pulling off the event made it really big.
Is that something, again, that not talk just in general, that you promote now in recruiting? You maybe send out, I don't know if you send out flyers. I have no clue how it goes now, but you send out flyers, and it's just something where that's a promotional piece in there to...
Yeah, why not?
I'm asking, I guess, how you do that. Like, what is it that you do to maybe use that to promote not just Tony Ann and not just South Carolina, but, hey, we had this. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, look, you have global superstars who've won World Cups in our stadium training and, complimenting. There was great footage of our gym, them using our gym. We promote our facilities anyway, but now we can promote them with pictures of guys who've won World Cups in there. I mean, why not? Use it. Use it to your best of your ability. I'm sure everybody would.
We'll come back with Coach. We'll wrap it up. He's got stuff he's got to get to as it really gets going for him today. We'll also make sure that we promote this coming Saturday. We'll see how the weather is, but 3 o'clock, free to the public, right? Free to the public on Saturday against North Carolina State over at Stone Stadium.
Yeah, we have 3 games that are all free exhibitions in preseason. They're all home.
So we'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. But obviously, if you're looking for something to do on Saturday, 3 o'clock, Stone Stadium, North Carolina State, so a brand name opponent in terms of what people know around here, will be in town for that. So we'll talk about that with Coach and get his final thoughts on what he saw Saturday night before we turn him loose. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, and joined this morning by head men's soccer coach Tony Annan. It is the early game.
Pain from arthritis is just awful with bone-on-bone constant pain. It robs you of so much of the stuff that you love to do. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain, and I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. There are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief, and the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your body's own healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids, surgery, and pain pills are no longer your only options. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative, and cellular treatments for your achy joints. This is the future of medicine. So call for a free consultation now at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. Preston here for Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. Now, if you're looking to increase the value of your home with new windows or mirrors, Absolute Glass will come out and take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. I say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Fish hatchery at Charleston Highway. An accident in the cleanup stages. Also, Killian Road at I-77. Broad River Road near Woodrow, kind of at Cease Road. There is a report of an accident there. And fallen tree being cleaned up, Hayward Brockington Road at Winterwood Road. Going to see probably more of that this week as we get all of this rain coming in from the tropical system. Scattered storms, 84 today, heavy rain, and 79 tomorrow. Rain around on Wednesday, more heavy rain for Thursday. So lots of accumulation. We'll have to keep watching the forecast for sure. And winds will be picking up this week as well. But currently, it is overcast and 77 on the early game.
all I can envision, Preston, is when coach is just by himself, just when he just needs some downtime, just completely by himself, just sits in a room, just has like Alexa playing random music, and he just sits there and it's like, oh, I know this one. I know that one.
Yeah, I just play myself.
Yeah.
I play my own game of guess the song. My assistant used to call it I win, because I always wanted to win that game. So.
Coach,
Spotify, not Alexa.
There you go. Coach Tony Annan joining us this morning. Final segment with him, and then you really have to go start actual work instead of goofing off with us and talking whatever goofy stuff we normally get into, Oasis or Pop-Tarts or whatever. But a couple things here to get with you. Number one, Saturday, and I'll go ahead and mention it, by the way, the women's team tonight has an exhibition over at Stone Stadium. Carolina Ascent Football Club, they'll have a match tonight if you want to get out there and check that out. I believe it is free to the public as well. We'll get some confirmation on that later on. But you have your first exhibition coming up on Saturday, and as we mentioned, 3 o'clock, and it's free to the public. And as you said, if you enjoyed what you saw on this past Saturday night, come out and check it out. Free again on Saturday, 3 o'clock. Shoot, I'll even give our buddy Brian Glenn with Village Idiot a plug. You can go down there and get pizza and walk up to Stone Stadium. I've done that multiple times. But what was such a quick turnaround, because you won't practice today. So you'll get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days, and you get an exhibition. What becomes your expectation for that exhibition match?
Some people say this is coach speak, because they will. But literally, our exhibitions are part of our preseason training. So against NC State, we'll play 3:30s instead of 2:45s.
Okay.
Per their request, and I agree with it, because we've got 28 guys we need to get in the game. So, you may see 11 guys start the game, and the second period, those 11 may not be on the pitch, right? So we treat our exhibition games as it's a training day, and we need to get the max load we can out of this game for everybody. So game 1, everybody may get 45 to 50. Game 2, everybody may get, some guys may get 30, some guys may get 65, 70. Game 3, we're looking probably to get what we think's our starting lineup as many minutes as we can to prepare for our first game. So the games are important to our training and on our plan of preseason. We do try and win the game, obviously, because winning early is good.
Real quick, so score will be, it's not a situational scrimmage. I know they used to have this in basketball a little bit, where you might work like if Lamont has these secret scrimmages, there were times that they would say, like, all right, final 2 minutes, your team's up 6, got to hold on the lead. It's just divided in, instead of doing the 2 45-minute halves, it'll be 3 30s, but score will be kept, and it's a match.
Yeah, the first one we're doing is 3 30 minutes, because NC State wanted to do that too. So we agreed, yes, it's more of a training exercise than it is a official game. But we're both trying to win the game. We're both trying to feel out our starting lineups or getting it. For me, it's about getting all the players' minutes. So it's like, is the score that important? We won't dwell on the score. We won't talk about the score after the game. We'll talk about how we played and things that happened more than the score. As we get closer to the season, those games become more and more of a prep for our very first official game, which is the 22nd. So it's still in our preseason plan, which is why we've got 3 games instead of just 2, because we only had 2 last year. And we felt like deeper squad, bigger squad, full squad, let's get 3 games in. So it's part of the preseason plan rather than this is a must-win game that we have to go out and win.
So you get 4 days. How much tactical stuff can you put in, or should the players kind of already know that? What is that like? It's interesting because we view it through the football lens of, well, Shane Beamer doesn't get a preseason game to do that. The NFL has preseason games. So in 4 days, how much is training? How much is tactical on such things as, say, corner sets that you would run?
Yeah, I mean, early on, again, it's about match fitness. It's about getting the guys in a good place to go out and do their best with some tactics. As we get deeper into preseason, the tactics will become more prevalent towards our first game. Set pieces, like you just spoke about, will become more organised. We'll really work on those things. So it's kind of a progression through the 2-week period to try and get to, at the end of the 2 weeks, as prepared as you can individually, knowing their own roles, knowing the system, knowing our press, knowing our block, all the tactical pieces that they need to know without the ball, and rotations and movements with the ball. It's a lot that would usually get covered in a 7 to 8 week period. You're trying to get them into 2 or 3 weeks.
Let's get back. So we'll obviously monitor you and maybe be able to get you on the phone at some point during the season to discuss things. Again, this coming Saturday, 3 o'clock, you can get out to the Graveyard, Stone Stadium, and you can check out South Carolina and North Carolina State. Again, North Carolina State, at least a brand name. Real quick, how were they last year?
They were okay. I think they're better. They've got a new coach. They've got a lot of new players. I think they'll be a better team than they were last year.
And then if you missed that one, a week from Wednesday, I believe, you have College of Charleston coming in here. That'll be 7 o'clock again. Excuse me, that's a Thursday, August the 15th, coming in. College of Charleston will be here. That, again, will be free to the public. That'll be, again, not this Thursday, but next Thursday night, and you'll wrap it up on a Saturday exhibition against Mercer. Again, all three open to the public. You can go to Gamecocks Online for more information, and as well as check out season ticket options for you as well. Go check them out. Gamecocks Online. Click on the soccer schedule there. And again, North Carolina State Saturday, 3 o'clock, free to the public. Go down, check it out, take the kids. Really a great, as long as it's not pouring rain, depending on what happens, a great opportunity to go catch some free soccer and build off of what we saw Saturday night. And speaking of Saturday night, I know we got just about 2 or 3 minutes left with you. Just final thoughts from you. Final thoughts real quick on the match itself and what you saw tactically and what you saw from those two teams that maybe give us a hint into what we're going to see in the Premier League.
I didn't think the game was amazing. I didn't think, at this point of the season, I didn't expect it to be. I thought Liverpool were much better prepared, even without 3 or 4 of their big guys who had been the Euros, like Van Dijk and Trent. And I thought Man U, people will probably get angry at me, but I thought Man U were poor for what I thought they were going to be. I don't see them finishing in the top 4 this year, if that's kind of their MO again. But Liverpool, I thought, sort of hadn't missed a beat from changing coaches and changing staffs. I thought a lot of the young guys did really well as well, which is good for them. But I thought the game was just okay. It was just an okay game for me. And I'm pretty critical, but I watch football, but soccer, sorry.
You're good. We figured it out.
But again, as a event, as a spectacle, I thought it was an amazing thing for the city, an amazing thing for the university, and I thought the people I talked to really, really enjoyed it and had a great time. Hope we could do it again, is the sentiment I got. So,
all right, let's do a little bit of learning right here, okay? And if I say something dumb, I apologize, but I didn't know this. The guy behind me on Saturday night, huge Liverpool fan. I'm pretty sure he felt that they were playing for the championship in that game. and his dislike of Man United also was quite clear during the starting lineup announcements, as he had names for every Man U player. It was very... One thing he kept saying is how Liverpool was doing something different than he'd seen, and you tell me if he's right or wrong or whatever, but playing through the slot, something that he thought Jurgen Klopp didn't do. And he was trying to explain it to me, and I thought I was relatively smart. I don't know what he kept saying. I just nodded.
I don't know. Slot is a word that I would not use. It's not my vocabulary for soccer, which is no offense to anybody. But
right,
they did play in behind, I would say.
Okay.
A little bit more direct through the line than they did under Klopp. There is some differences, and I think they're good. I think it's a good difference. Klopp had his way, and he did really well with it, and maybe it wore off towards the end. But they looked really energized. They looked really happy with the way they were playing. They looked like they were having fun as well. So I think Liverpool will be all right this year. I do. I think they will.
McGee weighs in, says bring Tottenham and Newcastle to Columbia. I know both of you would enjoy that, and maybe something we can do in the future. Coach, good luck. I know big day for you. I'm guessing you woke up like a kid on Christmas this morning.
Did you sleep last night?
I did.
Okay.
I'm in a good place.
Good.
I am. I've got good balance.
Good.
I'm centered at the moment. No, we ain't kicked a ball yet, so that may wear off really quickly. But
I just know a lot of coaches
don't. A lot of coaches don't sleep
that night before the first thing.
No, I'm good. I've been preparing and reading and meditating and doing all my cold plunge pool and everything. So I'm in a good spot.
Well, we look forward to following you this year. Obviously, we always appreciate your contributions to our program, whether it's serious or us goofing around. But look forward to talking with you. I know maybe we can get you on the phone in the next few weeks as you get going. Appreciate you stopping by today.
Welcome. Thanks.
Tony Annan, head men's soccer coach. Reminder, Saturday, 3 o'clock, exhibition game out at the Graveyard against NC State, free to the public. We'll come back. Some Thorns, Buds, and Roses. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions. Just because the kids are going back to school does not mean you need to stop having routine maintenance to your pool. And with Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions, they know exactly why routine pool maintenance is crucial to the daily operation of your pool and the long-term operation of the pool systems and components. That's why just because the kids are going back and summer is slowly coming to a close, you do not stop having routine pool maintenance. Go with the professionals. Corley Pool Solutions, who've been in business over 20 years, maintaining pools around Lake Murray, making people happy, keeping that algae out of them, and again, keeping those pools, components, and operations running and running properly. Call today and line up more maintenance. Line up your summer maintenance. Do not stop. 803-445-8109. Again, that's 803-445-8109. Corley Pool Solutions, believing in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. Call today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Yeah. Pain from arthritis is just awful with bone-on-bone constant pain. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain, and I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. I'm talking about QC Kinetics, the place where you can get lasting relief. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. So you can learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain and enhance your joints and restore your mobility and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments. So call for a free consultation at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
Just two incidences out there still keeping an eye on, and that's Broad River Road near Woodrow Street. There is an accident. Cleaning up a fallen tree, Hayward-Brockington Road at Winterwood Road. And unfortunately, might see a little more of that this week as we get all of this rain that's going to be coming in from the tropical system. Scattered storms today, heavy rain tomorrow, more rain on Wednesday, heavy rain again on Thursday, and the wind will be increasing as well over the next few days. Friday, we'll see showers and a high of 87. It's supposed to be 84 today, 79 tomorrow. Right now, it's overcast, and it's 77 on the early game.
.36 as we roll along, Preston Thorne, and some kind of putting a bow on the weekend that was the soccer, which was really entertaining. Again, it was a really, really cool event for Columbia as a whole. I know a lot of people talked about the traffic. I'll be honest. I left at the 80-minute mark, was in the car probably as the I was going to say the clock hit triple digits. That's not how it works. But as the clock hit 90, and I had zero problem with it. I think it's an issue. I think it was an issue that is constantly a problem for football games, for whatever around down there. Maybe a better traffic pattern, something that the city probably has to look at. But if that's the biggest hiccup in the whole situation, I'd say that was a 10 out of 10 event.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to an event with that many people in a small concentrated space. There's just going to be traffic. You know, hopefully everybody remains safe. You pack your patience with you in your tailgate and just sit in traffic. That's just what it is. Turn some music on, enjoy the time, but you're not going to be moving out of there at a rapid pace. And also, this was their exhibition match too.
Yeah, you had a chance to get out there and warm up.
For the state troopers, that was their, you know, they was working on their first time going through. So this is their first warm up, and they'll get better at it too. But overall, they do an amazing job getting that many people in and out of that area safely on weekends.
I mean, they said 77,000 people. So, right. I mean, that was game day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it looked, and I know that it was also a situation where you had people, as we were talking about, coming from all over the world.
Also that.
Some who are probably not used to driving on our side of the road, also as well as people who just aren't familiar with the traffic patterns, getting out and understanding. I know I talked to a couple people and said that like there were clearly some people who stayed in one lane way too long, and there was another lane far right or far left that was easy to hop in and get out. But you are right about that. It was a chance for us to test out the old Blackstone Grill.
There you go.
To try some little sliders, little burger sliders. We did some chicken. We gave a few new testing, because honestly, I'll just say my tailgating buddy, the leader of our group, just had a baby. Him and his wife just had a baby. Their first back in May. He's out for the year. Yeah, so we're having to elevate. We're having to promote. We're having to. So for a lot of us, it was our first run without kind of our
next man up.
Our architect. Yeah. So
depth.
And there was we instantly spotted a few issues.
Tailgating depth chart. Yeah. Had to readjust that, huh?
We've
That's
had
how it happens.
If a lot of you've probably been out there where the person who always is in charge of, say, the ice or the tents or the TV, all of a sudden that one person like comes up with a family situation and they're not there, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, we don't have this. So it was a test run for us to learn who's in charge of what for this coming season.
You got to get him on FaceTime. Like, okay, now when do I need to? He got to make sure he lays out the schedule for y'all when he has everything set. He's got to get everything.
He was
right
the guy that would show up with the full toolbox. If something went wrong, he was ready.
That's a tough member to replace.
He was. We essentially lost our starting quarterback in terms of tailgating, and we've had to hit the transfer portal, and it was slim pickings that appeared.
It happens. Good thing you got time.
So we did learn. 803-404-6100. Speaking of that, let's hear what Preston had to say. It was a weekend full of Olympics, a weekend full of soccer, and a few other things. Here is Thorns, Buds, and Roses.
All right, Bill. Great weekend. The last weekend before football. Every weekend henceforth till, I don't know, February will be filled with football. So majority of these things will be that. That being said, Thorns, losing. I don't like losing, Bill. I've tried to put that part of my life away. I tried to pack my competitiveness in a neat little corner, and this weekend brought it out of me.
Oh, no.
We did not win the Star Award. We received a merit. What is it called, Jen?
The Award of Merit.
We have received an Award of Merit.
It's a participation ribbon.
I'm struggling not to take that Award of Merit and not chuck it in the trash can, or maybe just make a post about how we will not be back here again. But I promise you, Bill, as long as we are on the early game, we're going to win this award.
Yeah.
We are going to make a forge effort. We're going to clean up our submissions. We're going to make a better effort, and we are going
to other categories.
We're going to get in that categories. We're going bigger and better.
We are.
We are not going to lose this award again. So my pet peeve for the weekend was losing. I don't like it. I try not to get into that space again, but I'm here.
It's not a loss. It's not a loss if you learn from it,
I guess.
And that's the way I'm taking this.
I've learned that competitive part of me is not dead yet.
It's not a loss if you learn from it.
We're going to have to win.
I was keeping track at the award ceremony, and it was like, I could just kind of feel it in my chest, like, we're coming to play.
We're going to be back. Yeah. We'll be back. All right, so that's my Thorns. Buds. Reconsidering my star bench cut from earlier this week.
Oh.
Track had a great weekend, and they're still going. Shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson getting the silver. Shout out to Melissa Jefferson, Georgetown native, winning a bronze medal. She did awesome. And then the 100-meter dash with Noah Lyles winning the gold was magnificent. I watched it live.
Epic.
I don't even know how they figure who won that. I mean, what is .005? I don't even know how short a distance that is, but when track is good, it is great. And also, I think maybe Katie Ledecky is suffering from the Steph Curry syndrome, where we're just getting used to her winning.
Yeah.
You get bored with it. We might even be there with Simone. Like, all right, you're the greatest. We get it. You beat everybody. When Katie Ledecky's winning by 15 seconds, it's kind of tough to get excited about, even though you recognize greatness. So maybe we might have to readjust that. And finally, Bill, 77,000 roses for all of us, all of you all who are in attendance at the big soccer match this weekend. It was a great showing of our stadium, of our city, of our state. A lot of people came into town, and by all accounts, I've just heard a lot of glowing reviews, especially for Williams-Brice as a venue. And I mean, we're bullish on Williams-Brice. We understand how special that place can be and the environment that it creates, and it's just a really cool event. And man, when things come to Columbia, go to them.
Absolutely.
We have cool things that come through here every now and then.
And we even order things from Mother Nature because the sky was painted beautifully at one point. I mean, that was getting so much attention.
The sky was beautiful, and even though we survived the rain, and so we didn't have the scorching heat that we thought we was going to have. And so
it wasn't famously hot.
It was hot, but it wasn't Columbia hot. Even though I did see some folks from the
they learned quick on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
You gonna learn today, buddy.
Yeah. So Bill, those are our Thorns, Buds, and Roses for the week. We didn't get the win that we get, but we will work harder. And yeah, when things come to Columbia, especially special events, if you can, go to them because they're cool.
Yeah, we've honestly had a lot of really cool special events over the last few years, whether it's concerts or whether it was this on Saturday night. And you're right, really cool to see the interaction when people coming from out of town. They got to experience Columbia. They got to experience Williams-Brice Stadium. Again, people that were familiar with college football that heard Sandstorm and saw that and was like, wow. So what's it like in here? I was like,
would you say it was about 70% of full on craziness of a Saturday in Williams-Brice?
No, I really felt like people were confused. I think a couple things. I think the rain held off some of it because of the thunderstorms and everything. I also I laughed because it felt like people weren't real sure what to do. You know, it's like, okay, we've got our tailgating spots. We know we tailgate, but it's soccer. Not real sure how we're supposed to do this or how we go into, what time do we go into the stadium? You know, look, there's a lot of people who have tailgated for 30 years.
Got a routine.
You got a routine. We'll finish it up. We'll get into that, finish up some final thoughts here on a Monday morning. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm, who's ready to help you if you've had tax troubles weighing you down, if they're giving you all kinds of issues, keeping you up at night. It's time to call John Ecton and his team. Whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, or Myrtle Beach, the Ecton Law Firm has proven local solutions that are ready to help you, just like they've helped thousands of families across this state. But it all starts with a free consultation. 803-771-9800. Again, that's 803-771-9800. Here's the thing about the Ecton Law Firm. They truly understand the challenges that you are facing. That's why they're ready to offer you the peace of mind that you deserve. And again, they're going to do it with proven local solutions. That's how they've helped thousands of families and businesses just like yours escape the IRS maze. So get that free consultation today and start your life to less stress regarding your IRS problems. 803-771-9800. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Larry Leitner, the owner and founder of Mid-State Roofing, has led Mid-State Roofing to being the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Again, it is their proven history that's your assurance that their professionals at Mid-State Roofing will provide proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. And with these storms coming in, with some of the heavy rains we've had, at least right here in the Midlands, you know that you've got to make sure that roof is protecting your house or your business, that it's keeping it dry and running, and will continue to keep it dry and running long into the future. And that's why Mid-State Roofing is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take a phone call from you if you have an issue. Again, whether it's a high-rise or a hospital, manufacturing or industrial, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee. So give them a phone call today, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 8:50. Final few minutes here as we wrap it up. We'll get into a lot. We'll start. J.C. Sherbert joining us tomorrow. We'll talk about the recruiting that was this weekend. 1 for 3 is what South Carolina goes. They land 4-star safety Kendall Daniels, but miss on 4-star offensive lineman Jalen Gilchrist, who goes to Maryland. That was a bit of a surprise, bit of a shocker. And then they miss on Jared Smith, the 5-star defensive end out of Alabama, who went to Auburn.
So you're telling me that he shocked the world and stayed home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll get into it a little bit tomorrow. As a recruiting nerd, as a person who not only followed recruiting very intensely, Preston, back in our day, back when you were playing, I remember Sean Smith when he committed, like trying to explain that to a family member, having a big circle. It's like, he's a big guy that goes right in the middle, and that's what we need, a big guy right in the middle. I remember Randy Jackson, and there was a lot of stuff in that period, that time frame, Jabari Levy, all those. I was a recruiting nerd in college, and then led to what I got into with ESPN and the BigSpur.com, covering recruiting, meeting people, meeting some really great athletes, being made fun of by Jadeveon Clowney because he was a full foot taller than me. But I don't know if high school I don't know what it means anymore with the transfer portal. And I don't think you have to take it as seriously maybe as it once was. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. J.C. Sherbert will join us, and we'll also continue to talk about what's going on with preseason camp here is South Carolina. I believe, again, today, I was looking for the actual schedule, but I believe today is the last day in technically the shells. I believe full pads goes on tomorrow, Preston, but I'm trying to go back and see the actual schedule for the next few weeks and see what that has for us, and also who speaks and on what days coaches speak. But we'll have a lot more of that as we go through the week and start kind of getting you ready.
Well, I said it kind of joking, but I'm actually serious. The best thing that happened to Gamecock football is we didn't hear any news come out of them for the weekend. Nothing happened, no injuries, no significant changes. They just went about the regular practices as they had, and that was probably the best news you could hear for this point.
Actually, it says Shells, they're going to go one extra practice unless the rules have changed and we missed it. Shells will be added for practices 3, 4, and 5, and full pads will begin on Thursday, August the 8th. So full pads gets going. And that goes back to what you've kind of talked about, what you and Coach Andon were just talking about, maybe some tweaking here and there to, get your guys ready, but also to try and keep them fresh as they move forward.
Well, the better teams, there's we can get into this tomorrow, but there's not a huge difference between practicing in shells and full pads. That's something for the dorks tomorrow.
Okay, well, we'll do a lot of dorky talk tomorrow. This coming Saturday, not only does Tony Andon and his ball club have a exhibition match against North Carolina State. Not that this is that's open to the public, free to the public, but we'll also get some more information on Saturday from Shane Beamers. We'll have the first scrimmage, and then we get our football hands. Is the offense ahead of the defense? Is the defense ahead of the offense? And how did Lenore Sellers look? We'll have a lot of that. So it'll be kind of a quiet week, if you will, though, as it pertains to practice, with the first day of full pads tentatively set for Thursday, August the 8th, Preston.
I'm looking forward to it because, again, we want to get into having those conversations. And with so much mystery surrounding this team, we want to start getting some answers to all these questions that we have.
Yeah, and so we will really trek into that. And again, coming up on Thursday night, you have the Panthers and the Patriots. That game actually on NFL Network Thursday night. So Thursday night that'll start that really is your shotgun start into football almost every night.
Speaking of the Patriots, the GOAT meant the GOATess. I don't know if you saw this on social media, but our queen, Dawn Staley, was putty in Tom Brady's hands.
Fangirl.
It was pathetic. Coach, we need you to represent better than that. She just fell apart. She was blushing and smiling. She couldn't resist the charm of Mr. Six Rings himself. I've never seen Coach look like that before.
Coach. Oh, yeah. We might have to see if we can get her in studio cut up with us one morning as well. We're efforting Lamont Paris here before the end of the month as well. We got a lot of stuff planned because, as Preston said, we're not taking second place lightly.
We're not doing it again.
We will talk to you tomorrow. Y'all have a great Monday. Bill Gunner for Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Whereas we now wrap up at least the kids out of school summer portion, it's time for them to go back, and that means it's time to clean up the house. That's right. Finally, the kids will be back in school. You can keep that house a little bit cleaner, a little bit tidier, but you can do it with the help of Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. That's who I call to keep my home insanely clean, and that's who I recommend you give a phone call today, because right now they have an incredible deal going on. Get 2 rooms of carpet clean for free when you have 2 rooms clean. That's right. It is the buy one, get one free, except instead of being 1, you get 2. Get 2 rooms of carpet cleaned, and you will have 2 extra clean. That's right. Call today for more information. 803-262-4020. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, or get signed up online at ZerorezColumbia.com. Use the promo code BOGO, B-O-G-O. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
And on the roads this morning, got a wreck right there by the Spinks station at North Woodrow and Broad River Road. Also, a wreck at Spears Creek Church Road and Jacobs Mill, Hayward Brockington at Winterwood, and Green Lawn at Garner's Ferry. Your weather outlook for today, 83 for a high, 60% chance of rain tomorrow, heavy rain. 100% chance of it, 79 degrees for a high, 84 on Wednesday with periods of rain. Thursday and Friday, pretty much the same thing there with the big storm moving in. This is Captain Dave, WIS-TV Traffic Center.
Nine o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Velcher from Gamecock Central hanging out with you. First full week of August. That means we are that much closer to the start of football season. Only 26 days, so 19 if you're counting week number 0. We're getting ever closer. I can taste it. It's just a little bit out of reach.
Yeah, it's quickly approaching, and this month is going to, I feel like at times it's going to fly by for sure, but then you're going to get into the dog days of summer, as they call it, and it's just going to be like, oh, man, we're like 10 days away from football. Just why can't it be here quicker?
Right.
But, having week 0, I think is great. Florida State's, playing that first game in Dublin, right?
Yep, Georgia Tech.
And that'll be, that'll be good to pass the time a little bit. And
listen, if 2 Division III teams were playing each other, I would watch that. I just need, the NFL preseason's fine because it's football and you can watch it. And, we watched the Hall of Fame game the other day because it was on. But, when you give me football that means something, that just takes it to a whole nother level.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be fine. We're almost there. And, look, August 31st, it really is around the corner when you really think about it.
It is. And now we've gotten camp rolling. On Friday was first day of camp. We've had the ability to have media out there for the first couple days, get some observations in as we're going to be going through these next couple weeks, trying to answer as many questions about this team as we can, which is going to be not completely possible, because there are just some things that we're not going to truly know until we see it on the field in action. But we're going to try our best to piece together what little bit we get, because, again, you guys only get to go out there for a few minutes of the, 6 total practices over the course of the month. So that's a small fraction of what's actually happening over the month.
Yeah, so think about it this way if you're listening. So, South Carolina,